all join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll do introductions. Tim, we'll start with you. We'll go around and then off to,
Timothy Silvernail, Budget Committee.
Chris Fowler, Budget Committee.
Lisa Toll, Budget Committee.
Elaine Bovier, Budget Committee.
Diane Adinolfo, Budget Committee, rep from the Board of Selectmen.
Scott McDonald, Selectman.
Kathleen Pelletier, Selectman.
John Childs, Budget Committee.
Deb Kearney, Budget Committee. Julie Green, Budget Committee.
Mark Solomano, Budget Committee.
Keith Claus, School Board Rep to the Budget Committee.
John Harrington, Town Administrator.
Shannon Kruger, Principal, Allenstown Community School.
Amber Wheeler, Business Administrator.
Jack Finley, Superintendent, SE 53.
And then department heads.
Eric Lambert, Fire Chief.
Chad Delacia, Road Agent.
Great. Welcome and thank you all for coming. I will ask, because it's such a big room and we have this little recorder, that when we're speaking, we identify each other and we talk loudly for the recorder, okay? Okay, we're gonna turn it right off to the school presentation.
Good morning, how's everybody doing?
One.
Fine.
So, if you want to turn to page 5 in your budget binder, we're just going to go through the overview with you. If you have questions, Jack or Shannon or Amber can help answer those as well. I will start off by saying we did invite our 4 representatives, Mr. Reagan, Mr. Pearl, Mr. Patero, and Ms. McGuire, to come to the school board and talk about school funding. And how that impacts our town especially, but what we can do about it. And Mr. Pearl is the only one who responded and asked for dates, and when Mr. Finley gave him dates, he said, unfortunately, that's not gonna work for him because of his previous schedule. But I wanna just kind of mention that only 1 out of our 4, including our own state rep that lives in Allenstown, responded to that request. There's also going to be on January 5th, we can talk a little more about that after the presentation. UNH is on our behalf of SAU 53 hosting a education forum that has invited political figures and different people that the public can come and answer questions. And it's gonna be run by UNH, so it's gonna be done very professionally, for lack of a better term, and that's gonna be in the auditorium at
6 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock for board and then 6 o'clock for public.
Okay, so that'll happen on January 5th at the PA auditorium. So I'd encourage everybody to come. But if we look at the budget, it is an increase of 5.35% or 5.34% on the proposed budget. The board worked with the SAU and Shannon to go ahead and come in under default again this year. So our proposed budget is $15,024,829, which is about just over $1,000 under default budget for this coming school year. So, again, just like in every town, it's a CBA. The teachers, special ed that we have, that goes ahead and increases the cost. Those are unfunded mandates that we have to go ahead and use. The tuition at PA went up by $20, which is still the best tuition rate we have by any other school around. And we have about 139 students going there. Next year, I'm sorry.
The tuition didn't go up by $20. The tuition line went up by $20.
Oh, the tuition line went up by $20. I apologize.
It's just because the change of enrollment.
Yeah.
It wasn't a large increase because the enrollment went down.
Yeah, we have a small 8th grade class going over to PA next year. Yeah, so this year's 8th grade class going to PA next year is smaller, right? And then special ed increased by $787,000. Summer programs increased by $49,924. And we've made up personnel reductions to align with staffing required for the 26-27 student services. Contracted services decreased by $314,888 due to a realignment of student services from that. So we have K through 8, our obligations, with ELL and, is driven by that salary, right? From that aspect with our ELL and our special ed, coming in, which is a 14.4% increase with, again, the unfunded mandates that we're required to go ahead and have. So it's a really, really, really difficult balance, to go ahead and do until, again, the state helps us with the proper funding that they're supposed to go ahead and have. Our health insurance costs increased by 9.7%. The rates increased by 7.6 for the red plan and 7.9 for the green plan. Now, keep in mind, we are in a contract negotiation right now too. Not that that's really gonna affect the insurance rates, but I can't really discuss anything with the contract right now because they're still in negotiations with the union.
I have a
We
quick question about
yeah.
that. Is it possible, like, how the town, we just recently made changes to our insurance plan? I didn't know if that's even a possibility for
So,
because of those contracts.
because of the language in the contract, and Jack, you stop me if I have to stop anything, right? Because of the negotiations, but because of the language in the current contract, the school cannot just say, we wanna make a change, right?
That's what I was thinking.
And
Like,
so,
our hands are kinda tied.
right, so that's kind of, our hands are tied on that right now, right? But again, it's in negotiations. I will say, like you guys all saw school choice, school care, we had a huge impact on every district. Allenstown was the lowest impact of anybody in our SAU, and we have the smallest increase of anybody in the SAU. So our staff is very healthy and doesn't use a lot of doctors and healthcare costs. So our dental insurance costs decreased by 3.26%. So, you know, we've had some good luck again with the staffing we've had here being fairly healthy, and we feel comfortable with that. We have increased our facilities operations by $553,719, and that really is, we're hoping that going into next year now, you know, we've gotten all the kinks worked out in the building. We've had some things, we had to put a water filtration system in because of the arsenic in the levels and the state mandates and stuff, so that was an increase in maintaining that cost. We have built a fairly efficient school, so as we've worked out the kinks with the heating and the different things going through and the HVAC and whatnot, we're hoping that is gonna stabilize, but after next year, we hope it'll go ahead and stabilize a little bit more, not see these big fluctuations. But again, we all know, even though we contract out like the town does, there is those increases and decreases in costs, and we have to go ahead and prepare for those things. The liability insurance now is only on the new school, and that increased by $6,691. As you all know, we've all gotten notices on our homeowners and our car insurance saying you might want to increase your coverage because people are suing for everything now, right? And you have enough coverage to go ahead and do those. So, like the town, I'm sure the liabilities have gone up.
Can I add a little bit more to that?
Certainly, please.
One of the other really big changes over the last couple of years, and we've noticed that the rate for Primex has increased for all of our districts over the last, I would say, 3-4 years. And one of the big reasons why is they have really honed in on cybersecurity. So they provide a tremendous amount of training, tremendous amount of coverage, and that all plays into this. But they do a lot of free webinars, a lot of free seminars for our staff to be able to provide guidance so that we can make sure that we're protecting ourselves outside of the things we're already doing. So that is also something that has been included. Well, it's been included all along, not to the level it is today. So that also plays a role in why this has increased a bit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our transportation, we have an increase of $225,622 for a cost of $935,925. Again, our contract was up. It's a new contract aspect, you know, that's just you're stuck when you don't have a lot of choices, and they know that, right? Although we did put it out to bid this year, I don't think that's been finalized yet, so we kind of just looked at what the worst-case scenario would go ahead and be. We're waiting on some other stuff again, because it's in negotiations, we can't really go too much deeper into that.
Is that one of the contracted costs that increases that default budget that stays in?
Only if you're in the middle of it. So in the first year, like this upcoming year, the increase in costs do not make it in the default because it's a start of a contract. So the following year, yes, any increase thereon would be included in the default.
Keith, I have a question.
Yes.
Is McKinney-Vento Services, is that who we currently have?
No, that is homeless transportation.
Got it.
So our current vendor now is
It's
Dale
Dale.
STA, and then we did have 2 vendors that did submit proposals, so we're going between those 2 vendors to determine who would be the vendor for Allenstown for next year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? All right, so other support services, excluding health and dental, was an increase of 1.26%. And that's, you know, your FICA and requirements by federal law. Capital and expendable trust funds was reduced because of the approved warrant articles, which will be done later from that aspect. And food service requires a higher transfer because our fund balance is too low, so we can't pay for that out of things. So we keep the costs down so the students can eat, and as you know, many of them are, you know, on a free or reduced lunch. We only get so much revenue back from that, and so we have to pick up the rest locally from that standpoint.
So is it fair to say, Keith, that the only warrant articles coming from the school will be for the budget and for the teacher and para contracts?
The school board, because we've been, you know, in finishing this up and working with the school and para contracts, have not discussed any other warrant articles as of yet, right? We haven't really looked at our fund balances to see what we think we should go ahead and do based on what might be left. With going lower than default for this current school year, you know, we're not really anticipating having a lot of money left over at the end. We hope, obviously, revenues come in and that, you know, the special education, you know, revenues, for lack of a better term, grants, different things like that continue coming in, but until those come in, we can only anticipate what we can.
So aside from the actual budget and the para teacher contracts, the only warrant articles would be if there were funds, and it could be unassigned fund balance.
Well, again, what will happen is we'll be discussing that because we know the deadline's coming up for that. So we'll just discuss what we wanna do, because again, it's only if there's funds available.
Right, so my point is, there'd be no taxation, I mean, it would be unassigned fund balances.
Correct, yes.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Any other questions so far? So page 7, we are at 1,046 lower than the proposed default budget, right? On that, and you know, we're still waiting on the new CBA and increases from those avenues. Regular instruction, page 8. Is an increase of 129,821, and that's really staffing increases due to the CBA. And again, those increases, so people understand that, the increases in salaries are based on if nothing happens, if the CBA gets voted down, those are still the obligations we have to go ahead and do. So those are at the current levels, if that makes sense. ELL services have increased by $23,000, and it's really just instructional materials are level funded, and a lot of that's got to do with the staffing and whatnot that goes with that. Educational software was increased by $6,105. Technology replacements have remained level funded, so we're still doing the best we can to go ahead and move the technology through and replace things where we can. And looking at, we might have to use our trust funds if we need to go ahead and do that, with the hopes then of replenishing those if that comes through. Special education, was voted $3.381 million, and, it's got a budget of $3.869. So it's an increase of $488,161, and that's really, again, is, the staffing, and in-district program needs and therapy costs. So again, you look at the 1200 line, the special education, there's nothing that can be done with that, that line. Those are all kinda told us what we have to do. Our 1400 lines, was increase of $3,049, and that's just really our co-curricular activities and, you know, sports, supplies, equipment, those kinds of things. Questions so far? All right, if we go to page 9, we're gonna be looking at our guidance in nursing. That was a decrease of $43,443, and this really comes from the acts, reductions of supplies, books, assemblies, from that aspect. So we're looking at going ahead and making some changes to keep that down. 2200, the improvement of instruction and staff development. There's a decrease of 19,299, so we're looking at not putting a lot of people out, but bringing more people in on those professional development days, and bringing that in so that the costs are lower than sending people out to professional development and then needing to cover subs and things like that. The school board and SAU services, that is budgeted at $404,000, an increase of $63,998, and that's just legal services. Our rate of that is 13.6%, so it's the audit and the actuals, the legal services that take place in that. The 2400, the district administration, that's a decrease of $10,632. And that was salary changes approved during our last budget season. So buying build software, building those things out. So the SAUs really worked hard to look at what can we do, what can the district do as a whole to get better pricing for software and you know, really a lot of things across the board, not just software, but you know, and throughout all the different line items to see what can be done in bulk and then separate it out through. So that's where that's coming.
Is the SAU part of like a larger buying group? Is there
Only
something like
for food service. We do have a buyers group that we use for food service program. In terms of some of the other things, specifically in terms of the software, we work with the individual companies and we group together our entire SAU so that the total enrollment for the software drives down the cost. And then we disperse it out to the individual districts based on their own utilization. So it drives down the cost in that regards. Okay. So we do try to, you know, bulk shop as much as we can. But the only actual company that we have is a buyer's group for food service.
Okay, there is one that I actually just brought up for the town side. It's called the buyingnetworks.net. They're geared towards nonprofits, municipalities. I would imagine they would service schools as well. I don't know if it would be beneficial for you or not, but they work across the country, so you're really joining a massive group. They have discounts on tech support, cell phone service. You can get better rates through Verizon. Food, a lot of things like social aspect too that schools would be more inclined to deal with than a municipality, so it's worth maybe checking out.
Sure. What was that again?
It's free to join. The buyingnetworks.net.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kathleen.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments so far? All right, 2600 operations and maintenance. That is a proposed of $553,719, which is an increase of $45,555. And it goes back to the higher liability insurance, increased telephone costs to cover monthly rates, additional funding for supplies, repairs, and contract maintenance. So the crossing guard position has been added back into this budget, which is really, really important. A lot of people think crossing guards are just across River Road, but it's really important out in the bus loop to have that body there, that person there that is controlling parents dropping off and kids getting out of cars and running through, and, you know, buses dropping off and running through and not having any accidents, so they can control the traffic from that. So 2,700, our transportation is an increase of $225,000. 620, we've kind of talked about that at the beginning and why that's there. And then our benefit services is an increase of 133,701. And again, we talked about that there with the insurances going up and less buyouts and two additional two-person plans. So we're doing our best to go ahead and keep those in as much control as we can from that. Our bond, the 5,100, the bond, that gets reduced every year as we go ahead and pay that. That comes down just a little bit. And then food services, that's an increase of 28,429. I'm not gonna say it doubled, but it's really pretty close to doubling what cannot be covered by the school lunch program and uncollectible debt, right? We can't tell a kid they can't have lunch, you know, so it makes sad. It's pretty sad when you think about that, right? From that aspect, so. Questions?
Can I just go back on the transportation
Certainly.
movement? I just want to make sure that it's clear that, what's driving the transportation is not the new contract. That's a significant increase in that line. The big change is actually special ed transportation has gone up because of the needs for the particular students we have for next year. It's not being driven by, while there is an increase, it's not as significant as the increase we're seeing. I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
And then our transfer to capital reserves, there's nothing in there yet, because that can't be put in until after March, and again, that's gonna be based on if what the board decides to put up, and then if the voters vote for that, or not. And then, our grant, and food service, is, an increase of $31,123, and that is, the overall cost of the food service program and slightly higher projected grant funding. Both programs are fully self-funded through revenue, so it has zero impact on the general fund, but it still has to go ahead and be paid. So, in that quick summary, that's really where we're looking at for the budget this year. We did, go through it with a fine-tooth comb and spent hours and hours and hours looking over things, and kudos to Shannon and Jack and Amber and their staffs for looking over and going with the board's directive of coming in under default again to what we could go ahead and do. We did lose two positions, or 1.5.
We lost, actually, two and a half.
From the original proposed, we lost six.
Six from the original.
So that's, that's kind of where we stand, but we feel that we'll still be able to maintain the services we need with educating the students and getting them ready to be successful at PA and then beyond the years after that, so.
I have some questions about school choice and how that may have impacted you guys over this past year.
Really, the only regard that in school choice would be in terms of the high school tuition. So if we have students that no longer attend PA or choose not to attend PA, that would drive up the tuition rate because the enrollment would then go down, so the cost goes up. Because you take the total cost divided by the total enrollment. So if the enrollment goes down, the cost goes up. So that's really the big effect in open enrollment. That could be any student going to a private school or wherever it may be, choosing. We've got a lot of students that are transitioning to homeschooling and relax, and with the voucher program, a lot of students are going to private schools. So there's a lot of transition, and I think there'll be a lot of transition in the upcoming years that we really need to keep an eye on and could really affect, towns dramatically.
So are you seeing a decrease overall in
Yes.
student enrollment and it sounds like it's
SAU wide, not
Okay.
necessarily in
Allenstown.
Allenstown.
Okay. But
So-
you are projecting through the next couple of years to see that trend continue?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to, I think enrollment's gonna decrease.
Because Freedom, they increased the number of students that can access Freedom accounts and change the
Yeah.
income requirements, so really.
Right,
it
so
increases it.
they changed the income requirements, it used to be at 300, then they moved it to 350, percent below poverty. Now there's no income threshold, and then one of the other stipulations is that you had to have attended public school at least 1 year. That's no longer in there, so it's really opened up to anybody that would like to basically send their kid to a private school. It's really private school, because you can't send them to another public school and have the voucher cover them.
Now, I thought there is a program that where the schools, and it maybe this only applies to high schools, but where schools can open their doors.
That's very
That's
different.
different.
That's
Yeah.
very different.
But the board is
Allenstown?
considering open enrollment language, and trying to determine how we can preserve what we have here. Because if you've seen the news, what's been going on with the Supreme Court, there's a particular district in our catchment area, per se, that has declared open enrollment program. So the Supreme Court has determined that the other local districts don't have to opt into the program. So a student can leave their resident district and attend another school without that school district having authority to approve that or not. So you will see a lot of districts now putting in open enrollment language on warrant articles to determine, at least have some say in what happens with their students. Because then those students aren't attending Allenstown, but Allenstown is still footing the bill because you have to pay 80% of the tuition.
But I see a path forward for Allenstown where we have this beautiful brand new school, and I know it's difficult when you look at social media and there's always, that negative crowd with negative statistics, but I've seen major improvement. I think you guys are doing a wonderful job, and I see us as a school that could actually be attracting other students, and that would help bolster our revenues
Yes.
and enable us to be able to continue to provide that quality education. So I'm hopeful that if you guys are looking at this language, that this is something that could really be beneficial for us instead of hurtful.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
To piggyback off of that, though, I do have a question. So if there is open enrollment and children are coming in with, and you can't exclude kids with disabilities or special needs, but would we absorb those costs?
We would not, the sending district has to
Okay.
cover those.
But
As it
that would
stands
be
now.
significant.
Yeah, there is legislation, well, there's lots of legislation right now that we're just following, over 250 education bills that we're monitoring, varying from free school lunches to special education costs to anything that you can imagine. So right now, as it stands in the language, the sending district is responsible for all of those costs.
And our SAU also has a little bit more of a challenge in regards to that, because we do have an area agreement. So that also poses.
You have an area, I'm sorry.
An area agreement with Pembroke Academy.
Okay, yes.
So there are some other challenges that this poses that we're trying to work through to see what can be done, moving forward. So we are trying to work through all these weeds. There's a lot going on. But, as we're learning some new things, we're trying to make sure that we're communicating them. There are some forums coming up in January. Some other districts are also having some meetings in regards to open enrollment. So we're trying to get ahead of it as much as we can. It's already full steam ahead, but now it's affecting us. So we are now on that wagon, and we are trying to learn as much as we can and to see what, as you said, what we can do to help benefit our individual districts. Because while there is some negative connotation to some of this, there is positive as well. So we just need to figure out what works for our districts and make sure that the end result isn't affecting the taxpayer too dramatically.
So we discussed.
The other thing to be aware of is that charter schools have been around for a while, but the local education agency, so we are responsible for all special education services in those choice schools.
And for the record, that's Dr. Hall. She's the assistant superintendent.
Nice to meet you.
So I will say too is that, we have two superintendents, in SCU 53, which is again unique, you guys all know that, we've talked about it every year. But they are also very forward-thinking superintendents. I was shocked, so Wednesday night we had an executive board meeting, and I was kind of shocked that, over the last 10 years, PA tuition, enrollment, thank you, has dropped in half. I was surprised. I didn't know PA once had 1,500 students at that, and it's now 750, 780 in that ballpark. And
Why is that?
well, part of it is that if you look across the state, that population is going down, right? Grade school, high school population is going down. I know, I remember when I was still, teaching, that there was talk about closing one of the high schools, was a proposal they made, or was talked about, I should say, in Nashua, which just built a second high school 20 years ago, right? And now they're like, wow, is this time to go ahead and do that? I know in Maltonboro, I think, they built a school that, now again, I was told, I don't know if that's true or somebody was just shooting off at the hip, that they built this big school and now they can't even fill it half full with their own students. So there is a decline in students, but our superintendents are forward thinking and saying, how can we bring PA back up to that 1,000, 1,500 students? And they realize it's by offering the right classes, the specialty classes, not taking away from the CRTCs and not bringing an automotive program and things like that, but what about an agricultural program? What about making a great drama program? Things like that then people could go ahead and come into. Now again, it's not gonna happen overnight, but there's in the short term that I've been on the board, and even the long term that I've been on the MBC, I'm seeing some very forward-thinking things going on to try to keep these costs that we're talking about down. Because whether there's 750 students or 1,000 or 1,500 students, it's still gonna cost the same amount to heat and run that building, right? So the more you have in there, the less that cost is really gonna take place per student. So,
Can I speak a little bit to that too?
Sure, go ahead.
So one of the things that we did this year is we reached out to the parents and put a survey out to say, what kind of programs would you like to see? It's really, we're really working towards making Pembroke Academy a school choice. Places students want to go, want to be at, because we've heard such wonderful things from our current students, but how do we engage students from outside? Because we do have students, several students, I think it's like 17 or 18 over from Hooksett. We've got a couple from Deerfield that come to PA, as well as the Allenstown, Chichester, and Epsom students. So we're really trying to engage those students to not only come, but to stay. So how do we get them to stay, and how do we get them to come? So we're looking at different programming to say, okay, this is where I want to be because they offer this. So that is one of the other things we're seeing. I think one of the biggest transitions, I mean, I've been here almost 11 years, so I've been able to see a good time span. I was here when it was up to the 1,500s for enrollment, so I've seen the decrease through this entire time. And I would say right around the COVID time is where we really started to see the dramatic decreases. And I think some of the reasoning, and this is my own opinion, is that once they were home for a bit, I think they started to feel more comfortable. I started to see since then the amount of homeschooled students dramatically increase comparatively to the prior to COVID years. Why that may be, I'm not sure exactly, but I will say that that's one of the data points that I have noticed an increase in since that point in time.
Well, I know there's a lot more online learning programs
Absolutely.
too. I have a sister that it was a better option for her with her children, and I was amazed at some of the classes they could take at the high school level and receive transferable college credits for from their bedroom. Like, yeah, so when you're competing against that.
And some students learn best in that fashion. Not a lot. I think there's probably a small population of students that thrive in that environment, but there are some that do thrive more than others. So I think maybe they stayed on that path for that reason.
There's also been a lot more specialized charter schools, so tech-focused, science-focused, arts-focused. So if you're a student who really knows that's your passion, you can go to one of those charter schools and kind of.
And in 2021, the state took a grant to open up more charter
Yes.
schools.
Yep.
So offering more choices.
So you can see there's a lot that,
Yes.
that in considering and doing and whatnot with that. Scott?
Yes, I just want to contribute. I'm not sure how this will be received, but you know the national birth rate is down to 1.6 per procreating couple. So you will continue to see the enrollments go down. Not something the teachers union wants to hear when it comes to numbers, but it's irrefutable. We're having fewer kids, and you're going to continue to get fewer kids in your classrooms. So the individual costs will continue to go up.
And really, Scott, that was discussed too, and it even goes deeper and further than that. So I don't want to go off on a huge, thing there, but with what you're saying, so up in the North Country, they're finding the same issue up there with people leaving the state and can't get workers to work in their hotels and in the areas out in Hampton. They get a lot of the J1s, right? So they're bringing in a lot of foreigners on visas to go ahead and come in and work. And the big discussion in the hospitality industry, as you all know, hospitality is the #1 industry in New Hampshire, right? It's, huge. And that big discussion is how do we get people to stay? How do we get people that leave these, Lakes Region Community College or culinary program and stay back in New Hampshire and bring their skills into New Hampshire? So that's a thing that's really looked at long and hard, and those numbers are out there a lot, because that not only affects, as you say, the education aspect and what's gonna go ahead and happen, but again, going back to what Jack said, that's why the board is starting to look at the right language for school choice and how we wanna do it and what will fit into, because it's not just as easy as like, oh yeah, we can take kids, because this year we have a low 8th grade and a low 3rd grade.
Oh, yeah, we have one grade that's twice as big. So
Yeah,
we have,
and
we are
so
like
you
at
can't just
22,
automatically
8.
bring people in, it has to be able to fit into that grade aspect, right? If you're busting at the seams and that's in 7th grade, you can't bring 7th graders in, right? So, anyway, so that's.
Has our student population gone down in general?
It's.
No, it's pretty steady.
Yeah.
One thing that we have noticed this year, sorry, I'm just gonna talk and clean. One thing that we have noticed this year is that we have a lot more in and out than we've had in a really long time. So we just had 3 students leave, but we just gained 3 students. Like every month this is happening, and this is very unusual. We don't usually see this, and we're seeing this in and out from a much wider geographical area, whether it's Florida or the Midwest or even out of the country, like moving out, moving in. It's very different than what we've seen in the past. It's not just like, we've seen a lot more regional, like from Chichester, Epsom to Allenstown to Concord, but not anymore. We're seeing this much bigger influx of far away, in and out.
And we've been tracking that now for several years, because there's a lot of transition that happens over the summer, but then also throughout the year. So a few years ago, we said, okay, well, where are these kids coming from and where are they going? So I started tracking them each month to say, okay, when we lose a student, where are they headed to? When the student comes in, where do they come from? So we could start to see some of the transitions and the patterns. We've been doing that, I don't know, 3-4 years now maybe. So we give that information to the school boards on a monthly basis to show where they are at that month, where they were the previous month, and that chart just kind of keeps going on throughout the year. And then over on the right, I list, where they came from or where they went, so that we can start to see some of those patterns, so that we can project, moving forward, what it might look like.
As much as you can project when people are moving like
Yeah.
never before, right? I mean, so.
I did put a crystal ball in this budget, just to help out.
And we took it out, by the way, it was like $2.4 million, we took it out, it's not gonna happen, right? But anyway, any other questions?
I have a question with the school choice and with the open enrollment. So, I mean, obviously, there would be criterias in place. I mean, we just can't, or do we have to, by law, accept everyone who makes application?
Not necessarily, but you have to have a process. So, you'd be able to open, the application period, and we haven't gotten to that part yet, because we don't know if we're going to adopt it, because we still are working on the warrant article language. There's
But in
new-
general, though, I mean, there's gotta be some sort of a
Yes.
criteria.
Yes, yeah, but you can't discriminate.
Right.
You can't discriminate, and like Jack said, there's 258 pieces of legislation again.
Yeah.
So this is such a moving target right
Right.
now.
Well, not so much about discrimination, I'm thinking, you know, if we have classes within our school now, for example, our 8th grade class is really, really low. So there's room in 8th grade, but there's probably no room in 4th
Right.
grade.
You can
That
put,
kind
you
of
can
stuff.
put caps, I believe, on grade
Yes.
levels.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you say I'm gonna open enroll from K to 8, let's just say. But then you can put a cap to say, we can only have 70 4th graders. So we
Okay.
will only accept up to 70 4th graders. So you can cap it out so that you're not running into a situation. I
Right,
know there's been
that's where I was
discussions
going
about
with
that.
it, you know?
Yeah,
it's-
we do have policy around class size. Jack, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the state has removed
Yes,
the high-end requirement.
the
like
ratios, yes.
The ratios, there's no longer a cap on how many kids you can have in a classroom. But in Allenstown, we do have policy.
And I think a lot of these, you know, with open enrollment, some of these other things, that's great. That's like the January 5th, right? Good information on that, because we're talking one thing and then Jack and Jess hear something different coming down from the state. And it's such a fluid, moving thing right now. You know, are there still cases in the Supreme Court, or did that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's it's so crazy an aspect of what can and can't be done. You know, we're just going about business as usual for bringing kids in that wanna come in, you know, that move into the state and following the right procedures that we already have in place right now, right? So, there's really nothing even definitive, I'll say, from the state, because they keep changing it, right? And with Supreme Court cases and new legislation, everything's kind of up in the air, for us, you know, so. Any other budgetary questions?
So the bottom line budget, is what you're proposing then is the 15,024, what is it, 825, 29, I don't know about.
Yep,
Yes.
Okay.
that is correct.
Which is less than last year's budget
It
by
is
about.
by 170 or 164, what did I say? $124 or something like that. I mean, 1,000, yeah, 1,046.
That's lower than
Okay.
default.
Lower than
Lower than
default.
Lower than default.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess, you know, we wanted to be able to vote on everything today and to try to finalize the whole budget process in preparation of the public hearings. So I know that the teacher and para contracts have not yet been agreed to or put into place, or whatever they're requesting, however that's gonna work. Any idea, and someone should be able to give us an idea as to what those warrant articles would look
No
like?
idea. And actually, I can't even give you an idea because they're still in negotiations. They haven't been agreed upon by the paras or the teachers or the school board. There hasn't been anything. They're still in negotiations because there's healthcare language, there's, salary language, step language. There's all sorts of stuff that's going on and happening, that, it can't be discussed because it's in negotiation. And not trying to hide anything, I'm really not.
No,
I
I'm
wish
just
I
trying to
could.
determine, are we looking
Yeah.
at, you know, $150,000?
I can't
Are
even
we
comment
looking?
on that because we're not there. I can't comment on that. Because it would just blow negotiations away, right?
Any idea, I mean, what is the deadline for them to come to some sort of
Well,
resolution?
the deadline's gotta be done by the time the warrant articles have to be submitted, so, I mean, what is that, January 13th? So,
We have negotiations on Tuesday, and then we also have it on Tuesday during school break, so that's another one. So So we know that there's a time crunch, we just haven't been able to find the sweet spot yet. And the other thing, if it does go to mediation, we know that there's no mediators out there right now, and mediators will, if we can't resolve it in mediation, then they're traditionally the fact finder as well. So we're trying to navigate this as best as we can and come to a ratified language so we can have a warrant article. But we know the limitations that we have in the timeline.
So if it's not done by the 13th, then it's kind of null and void and they have to wait till next year? How does it work?
Yes, essentially.
That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your leverage?
No, I mean, we really want to be able to come to the table with the contract.
Absolutely.
Because it's gonna be beneficial for all, because we'll be able to retain staff, because otherwise, there's really no.
If
there's
you
no
don't have
anchor
a
for the state.
contract and you're, you know, it's harder to recruit staff and it's harder to retain staff, right? So it is in everybody's best interest to get it done. But again, you know, we really can't comment any further than that because there's just too many moving parts, right?
But are the steps in this budget? I know there's steps and then there's, you know, the contracted amount for increase, whatever.
It's
Is there
frozen.
everything's frozen, so
Yep.
there's not even steps in here?
There's no steps in there, but if you're off the top of the scale and you're in longevity language would still be maintained because of the way it's written into the contract, so that would still move forward, but everybody else would be locked into that step and there would be no advancement.
Okay. I just didn't know the process and what happens and,
Yeah.
because I don't think we've ever had that before.
No, there was a time when the contract failed, 4 years ago, and they were frozen at that step.
Right.
And then that's why
But
we're,
also, I don't think there's been a time where we looked at the school budget that didn't have, you know, in a year where we had warrant articles for teacher and para salaries, that
But
they
you
didn't
could-
come together.
Well, you couldn't put that in anyway because if it doesn't get voted on by the
I understand
taxpayers,
that.
it couldn't be put in, but it's just, you know,
Right.
it's where it's at right now,
Okay,
so.
because I hate to see no contract.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, that would be,
yeah.
okay.
I think you will see, and I believe Jack mentioned this to the school board, I hope. One of the things I'm recommending to all of our districts is, one of the warrant articles to add is in regards to healthcare. So adding a benefit trust fund, so that it covers for any transitions that might come through, like we just recently had in regards to an assessment. So that it doesn't dramatically hit the budget or put the district in a situation where they're unable to fund it, or they're coming before the public to have to ask for more money. Thankfully, we had, you know, the district had the funds to cover that, but there are years where some of our districts would not have been in a situation to be able to do that. So I'm recommending to all of the districts that they add an additional trust fund that covers benefits, to start to put some money away like they do for high school tuition, same type of thing. So that it prevents any catastrophes down the road.
Because that could have been very painful.
Yeah, for sure,
Yes.
for sure.
It could have been,
You know,
again,
had they not had the money.
Allenstown wasn't hit too bad. Yes, it was still hit, but, we were able to go ahead and, take care of that.
I had a district that couldn't fund any of their warrant articles, because they had to use all of that in order to do that. So we just wanna make sure they put the districts in a position, and the town in a position where it doesn't pose an issue. Hopefully it never happens again, but we need to be prepared.
I have a feeling it's going to. They seem to be on a trajectory here.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions of the school presentation of staff that's here to answer those questions?
I have one, but it's not regarding the budget. It's regarding the meeting on January 5th. You said we would talk about that a little later.
Yep.
Do we know if our state reps are gonna be there? I mean,
So UNH is handling all of this,
Okay.
right? And so they're obviously gonna invite them, and whatnot. Are they gonna be there or not? I don't know. We had 1 out of 4, 25% responded to a request that we had to go ahead and speak to them. We have people who are state reps that aren't here to listen to our budgets, right, or talk to us, so,
I mean, I don't see that we'll accomplish the goal if they're not there.
correct.
My understanding though is that if UNH is putting this on, they will be recording everything, they'll have presentations ready to go, and even if those representatives don't physically attend, they can still be provided that information. after the fact, kind of like reading the minutes.
The idea though is from question and answer,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's, the idea isn't to be a gripe session to get, 3,000 people in there to go ahead and say the same thing and complain. The idea is to ask questions to find out how are they moving forward to go ahead and fund education when the Supreme Court has said, you're not giving us the right funds to go ahead and do this, and this is what's happening. So, the idea is for it to be a good question and answer, from that aspect, not just to have people say something, to have somebody look at it on a recording and have, one of their staff members put out a candid response.
Well, the legislation, like you said, is a moving target. We're continually seeing new bills come up, and I would suspect that even these legislators don't know what's gonna happen, and may not even know what they are gonna support, depending on the draft language of these bills, and as they're amended moving through the House. It would still seem like it's valuable and important for them to get feedback from the public on what we want to happen, to give them guidance on what direction we wish that these bills would move in, and what's important to us. So I don't think it's a lost cause, even if they're not there. That's my point.
Yeah,
think
we
that
can, we
there's
can,
still
we can only hope, right?
Yeah.
We can only hope, so.
It would be a good public service for them to be there.
Yes, I feel like they
Absolutely,
should, but I
you
think
know.
even if they don't go, people should not get discouraged and say, well, I'm not gonna attend, this isn't gonna accomplish anything. I think it still stands a chance to really have a good impact.
I would also say that even though UNH is running it, there's nothing that says that you sending a personal invite to them wouldn't go a long way, right?
Yeah, good idea, yeah, maybe if enough constituents reach out and say, we would really like to see you here, please.
Yeah.
Any other questions of the, school? Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you so much for
Thank
the
you.
presentation. Nice packets with all the information you could possibly ever need. We are back on. I would just remind you to state your name and speak loudly if you're going to make a comment. Okay, so before we get into reviewing the budgets and everything, we may need to make a change. So I want to know, is the Board of Selectmen, because if you look at the agenda, we were gonna review everything, Budget Committee was going to recess to allow the Board of Selectmen to call their meeting to order for the purposes of voting. Are you prepared to do that today?
I am.
You're all prepared to do that? So things can stay the same? Good, because we would have had to change all the dates. So it's all good.
We've got a quorum, we might as well.
Might as well do it. Okay, so we will go right into the budget worksheet. So this is how it's going to work. We're gonna go through each department, if you will. Kind of go over what the proposals are for the upcoming year. And I will entertain a motion in the affirmative so that we can get into discussions, and then we will vote on each particular department, okay? So we're gonna start right off with the executive, so I'm on page 3. So the request, and this has not been approved by the Budget Committee, but the request is 231,056. Am I correct in that, John, right column?
Correct.
Okay. So for the executive expenditures, the 4131, the total amount would be $231,056. I need a motion to bring it on the floor.
My motion.
Who's that?
Deb.
Deb?
Keith seconds.
Okay. Chris, you grabbing that?
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second for $231,056. Any discussions on this? Any comments, questions? Okay, all those in favor of $231,056 for the general government executive, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, unanimous, ayes have it. Okay, then we will go to election registration and vital statistics. So that brings us to page 4. The proposal is $102,515. Do I have a motion?
I got a question now.
Okay.
Regarding the voting machine updates. Now, that was a figure they had in there for a new machine. Now, is that the same numbers are gonna be required for any like software updates or something to that nature?
So we're on bottom of page 3.
Correct.
So the question is, on the voting machine updates, is that for like ongoing software and things of that nature?
Yes.
Okay,
Every time we have an election, they have to give us some.
okay.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
All right.
It's the same machine, we didn't get a new machine?
No, we have a new machine, but this is just the software update for the new machine.
Okay, so election registration and vital statistics. I need a motion for $102,515.
So moved.
Okay, Keith makes a motion.
I second.
Who's second? Deb, is that you?
Yep.
Okay, any further discussions?
Why do we have $2,500 for postage?
$2,500 for postage?
It's line 611 on page 4.
Cost of postage.
Just go right up from.
Oh, absentee ballots.
But nothing was spent last year? Or nothing to date?
$866.36 has been spent. That's current year. Second column.
So that's level funded, John.
Yes, it is.
And this year, you're gonna have more elections. I believe last year was just a single local election. This year, you're gonna be looking at.
That
I think,
fluctuates.
Yeah.
Is that okay, John? You're upset with that?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, no, I mean, now's the time.
Yes, I'm
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor of 102,515 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous. Okay, financial administration. Okay, financial administration going from, what was it, 175, 840 to 189,809. That is the number that we're voting on, 189,809. Any questions on these line items? Need a motion?
Why was the actual so much more last time? The actual was 211.
It's the second two lines in the budget on page 5, the top of page 5, you'll see the increases. The finance clerk and the contracted services that make up the entire amount.
Okay, sorry, it is.
Okay, so any other questions? Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Keith makes a motion, Lisa seconds. Any further discussion? Now's the time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Passed, unanimous. Okay, revaluation of property. $61,050. Any questions on that?
Is that based on the costs that Avatar is
Yeah,
charging
the
us?
4-year
That's
contract for
what the
Avatar.
increase is?
That was the increase.
And computer software is also a slight increase. Okay, need a motion, $61,050.
I'll
So
motion.
moved.
Okay, Diane, Tim, you second?
Yep.
When's our next year that we get assessed again, John?
27, I believe.
Yes, 2027 is what we were told. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous, it passes. Well, we're recommending. Okay, legal expenses, that's up slightly to $50,000. It was $40,000 previously, so the number we're voting on is $50,000.
Says, actual 67, right?
That's correct.
And the year's not done.
Are we anticipating any legal action? We are, okay, so we need, it would be wise to keep it at 50.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussions on the legal lines? Need a motion, please? Jules Keen motions. Lisa seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? It passes unanimous at 50,000. Personnel administration. So I'm taking you to page, hold on. Page 9. 57,000 is the number we're looking for.
Hmm?
Yeah, but
No.
No.
go down one more.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I like that number better.
I know.
That's pretty good
Say,
savings.
wow, we're.
Yeah, yeah, $1,082,800. That's where all your workman's comp and your insurances and so forth are set. So it is an increase, but it's due primarily to changes in payroll-related expenses, insurances, and things of that
Correct.
nature. Need a motion on the floor for this.
I'll motion.
Tim motions,
I'll second.
Lisa seconds. Any further discussion? Go
I
ahead,
have-
John.
I have
Go
a
ahead.
question about why is the police department, the fire department, why isn't that in their budget lines?
It's,
Because it's the actual cost of what those services cost us, but it's sort of hidden here.
So that's traditionally the way it's done across municipal accounting, but you can make requests to get that information separated out by department if you'd like. I actually did that with John myself so that I could see exactly how those amounts were spread across the various departments. But when we actually budget it as a municipality and present it to DRA, it gets grouped into these lines altogether.
So there's something that can't be changed, it's there.
I don't know if it can't be changed. I don't know if that's up to municipalities.
I
John,
believe
can
that
you-
kind of accounting grouping is dictated to municipalities. These numbers and what we can put in them is dictated to us. We don't get to choose.
But you can get that information, you can ask for it.
Oh, no.
oh yeah, it's right here. It's broken down. It's just,
Oh.
you know, why, I guess the question, Kathleen, was why isn't it like
In
in the
their
fire
budgets,
line, in the police
yes.
lines? It's, yeah. But historically, as long as I've been on budget committee, it's always
Always
been
been.
under personnel. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, passes unanimously. Planning and zoning. Planning and zoning is $15,114. Which is $84 in prior years. Okay, need a motion on the floor, planning and zoning.
So moved.
Diane makes a motion,
Second.
second by Keith. Any discussions on this? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? It passes unanimously. General government buildings is 80, is that the last one? Am I on the right page?
Page 11.
Yeah, yeah. $86,435. Any questions on government buildings?
I do have one question on the town hall, the the old AES. Is the lighting gonna change where it turns on and off automatically because it's such a bigger building than the town hall?
I'm not sure, will the lighting, the question, John, is will the lighting go on and off automatically?
That building is not set up like this. That would take infrastructure upgrade with all the electrical, so all the lights would be electronically controlled. It's an old building, as you say. Is that something we can do in the future? Obviously, but it would be a cost to computerize it.
Any other discussion on government buildings?
We can certainly put motion sensor lights and things like that, to the best of our ability now. But to have a building like this where it's timed, and we would need an upgrade.
But it is a good idea, and it's
Yep.
something that I often see grants specifically come to
Right.
geared towards, so that's something that could potentially be funded, not at the taxpayer's expense, as long as we plan appropriately and keep an eye out. Yeah.
Well, Ronnie
Yeah.
had given us information
Yeah.
about that. There's a
Yeah,
company
yeah,
out
we
there
plan-
that
yeah.
does do that.
As part of the renovations, we're gonna contact, I think it's New Hampshire Saves.
Yeah.
And all the lighting that's replaced with LED lighting. Pretty.
So the amount is $86,435. I will entertain a motion. Keith,
I'll motion.
you second, Tim?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay, any further discussions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? It passes unanimously. Cemeteries, $10.
I object.
Any discussion on cemeteries? Okay, I need a motion. Everyone should be jumping on this one.
So moved.
Diane, okay, Diane makes a motion, I need a
I'll
second.
second.
John second. I take it there's no questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, insurance not otherwise allocated.
What's that for?
Property and liability. They separate that out.
Oh, the sewer department, the sewer department portion is out and it's in their budget? Is that what this means? Portion of this cost is represented in the sewer department
Right,
budget?
so this
Okay.
is just the town portion.
Town portion. Okay, $157,000.
It's a huge increase, 62,000.
We shop around.
It's Primex. They just.
Okay, 157, I need a motion.
So moved.
Keith makes a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Diane seconds. Any further discussions on this? This does go out to, I mean, we review this periodically, right, with insurance companies?
Well, this is Primex. They are the biggest group insurer of municipalities. I don't think, I mean, you could certainly go out there, but I don't think we're gonna get better rates.
Okay, so it's kind of like our own insurances where we have no control, they go out. Okay, 157 is on the floor. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, passes unanimously. Okay, public safety, the police department. Oh, no, I'm
No,
sorry.
advertising.
Advertising and Regional Association, $4,300, which is $2,000 less than prior year. Need a motion on the floor?
I'll motion.
John, who seconds over there?
I guess,
Tim?
yeah, I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. Public safety, the police department. So now we're going to page 17. $1,244,784.
How many officers do we have?
Seven, she had said. I can go back on my notes.
Yeah, I thought it was 11.
Hold on.
I think they were short. wanted to. Sounds like they filled Chief Stark position.
The short
Yeah,
one,
they
right?
moved back.
Right.
You want 12 and they get 11.
Yeah.
Total population now,
4,000, I think.
4,000.
It's 4,800 at the last census.
48 million. 5,000 people.
And I think Hillsborough added 9%, I think it was, when they added Hillsborough, so it's probably closer to 51.
Gone up
Well,
9%.
population of Hillsborough and
Oh.
Mills.
Yeah, because the last census was
Do they
20.
count?
At least 400.
Okay, just please be careful though when you're speaking so that the recorder can hear you, so speak louder. Thank you. I'm going through her budget.
I can look it up tomorrow.
What's that?
I can look it up.
Well, it's in here, I don't know what she put in her presentation.
We're looking for percentage of increase.
No, I'm looking for a number of staff.
Oh,
I can't find it in here. I know that they're fully staffed now, right? Because they just pulled some people out of the academy, correct?
Oh, they are? So they got 12?
I believe they're fully staffed, is what you had said, but,
Here's yesterday, they were having one more.
On
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
overtime line, the 130 line, it says they're down one.
I believe
Down
that
one.
I believe they were down one.
down one.
yes. you
So
did
we
say
have a
that.
total of what, 11?
I believe so.
Yeah. Are you all set with that, Jules?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of the police department?
The overtime is $67,000. How much of that gets reimbursed? You know, on the revenue side, do you know?
I don't
Oh,
believe
like,
it does.
Like if somebody asks for a cop detail or something.
Oh,
It
is
would
that what
have
you're
to be
talking about,
detailed.
special
Yeah.
details?
I think that's what a lot of the overtime probably is, right?
No,
it's
it's-
been
It's
short.
because it's short.
Yeah.
They were filling it with overtime. Which in a way might save us money.
No, I don't think that does. I think what would save us money is if we forewent coverage instead of the line.
Yeah, yeah. How
So
many-
there is a description on the overtime. Do you want me to read it out to everyone, or can you
Sure.
see it? It's on page 16 in the overtime line. So a lot of it is bereavement, military, if they're on military duty.
Vacation.
Filling in for vacations. Currently, there are at least 4 weeks of military leave that needs coverage. Sick days, bereavements. But she does put a thing in here that if we stay close to being fully staffed, the overtime line does remain lower. So if there's only one, and I believe she said that if she's not fully funded, that person is in the academy. So they will be fully funded. Not fully funded, fully staffed.
Fully staffed,
Did she have any, did she work with the previous police chief on administration quite a bit, or?
I do believe we spent a couple years with her, trying to introduce her to the role. I know when she stepped in, there were some things that were new to her that she was inexperienced with, but she did come, he spent time helping her and mentoring her into this.
For the last 2 or
So
3
the-
years, she was part of the budget process.
So if you look through the presentation, and I can pass it around, that she did provide, most of the line items had been underfunded.
Yes, for a few
Were they
years.
underfunded or overspent?
Underfunded, and she went back to 2022. So she did her research on these line items. I can share it with you if you don't have a printed copy.
No, I have it at home.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I need a motion for the police department.
So moved.
Keith, makes a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Lisa seconds, any other discussion?
Is there a way to, adjust the amount of personnel? Can we, like, limit the police officers? I'm just wondering if we can cut that budget.
By reducing staff?
Not hiring that person that they say they're short, you know, and
I believe that person is at the academy. I mean, that's not a decision for us, I mean,
that's not part of our scope.
And they pay for the academy.
Well, I mean, we could, I mean, yes, you could obviously.
you can
vote that.
obviously
You
reduce
could
the
vote
line
that budget,
item.
But then what shift don't you want them to cover?
How it would be handled would have to be up to the department. They would know what fits best, but everything is a possibility.
But my point was, you cannot well, I mean, we can adjust this number if deemed appropriate, but we can't make that decision as to where that money will come from.
Right,
So it's not necessarily that staffing would be reduced, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
they
because
can
the
decide.
department heads control their budget.
Right, they can decide where to cut.
Right.
That was the SRO officer.
And I mean, to the budget process, the select board control the bottom line. So you could cut $100,000 out of that and they could decide to take it out of Eric's budget.
That's what
You
happened
know,
last year.
and that's where it could get sticky. So you could have the best intentions of reducing their gas line by $20,000 and I pay for it instead, or Eric's budget or somebody else's budget, so.
Yeah.
Recalling Beth's presentation is they did grant funding back to the SRO officer that she's mentioned a few times, so I think that part of that line is waiting for the money to come back from the government is what they had to pay because it was covering the details.
Because we don't control.
We still haven't gotten that money from the government now, as far as.
She's working on it, the SRO, she is researching that, and trying to get it back. And apparently it looks like we can get it back.
Taking that,
Should be, but
Yeah.
once the paperwork is filed,
Yeah.
again, that's something that having a full-time finance director could have averted entirely.
so taking that, backing up, when we get that money, can we do whatever we want with it, or does it have to go to the police department?
It's to cover that SRO, so it has to go to the police department to cover that position.
Are you okay with it, Mark, or are you going? Yeah, because we can't control line items, we can
Yeah.
control the bottom line of the budget, and we depend on the department heads to manage those funds. So right now, the request is $1,244,784, we have a motion, we have a second, correct, Chris? Yep. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes.
You're
Yes.
voting no.
I'm gonna oppose it.
Three of you are opposing? All right, so let's do, hand, if you're approving it, please put up your hand. 2, 3, 7. Opposing it? 1, 2, 3. Anybody abstaining?
Point of clarification, when you're taking your votes, who's voting? Is it the entire budget committee, or is it?
They're also voting, the Board of Selectmen are also voting. 'Cause they
I
have-
thought we were having our own meeting to vote after, just you guys, the budget committee is voting right now, and then we are convening to vote.
And then you're gonna convene, so you're not
Yes.
voting on anything
No.
now? Okay, Budget Committee, show of hands for the police department.
I mean, so being the Board of Selectmen rep.
6,
You
7,
vote.
yes.
You vote, so.
Yeah, 7, and those opposed, but 3, 7 to 3. Anybody abstain?
So there are 10 budget committee members present today?
Correct, correct.
Okay,
So we have a quorum, as does the Board of Selectmen,
correct. So we're just doing budget committee,
right now.
voting on the budget. Now, you understand, the board has not voted on their budget yet. So
They're
you're-
gonna recess after and do
But
it,
you're voting on a budget they haven't approved yet.
correct.
So you're saying the board should have
The
done it
board
first?
should vote first, so that then the budget becomes the budget committee's budget.
Okay, so I'm gonna call to recess the Board of Selectmen, the Budget Committee meeting.
I don't think it erases any of the votes.
No,
you've already
I don't
taken,
think so.
But procedure-wise, they need to hand you their approved budget
Okay,
first.
so we're gonna recess budget committee. And Scott, you can call the Board of Selectmen meeting to order.
Today is Saturday, December 17th, 2025. I'd like to call to order an impromptu meeting of the Allenstown, New Hampshire Board of Selectmen at 11:39. We'll forego the Pledge of Allegiance as we've already done it. Board members present.
It's 10:39.
10:39? What did I say?
11:09.
Sorry. Board members present.
Diane Adinolfo?
Scott McDonald.
Kathleen Pelletier.
We'll just do the same thing she was doing, right?
Can we just do a vote on the entire budget? Do we
Yes,
have
you
to go
can move
through?
the bottom line,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
provided there are no individual
Right.
line changes.
Are you okay to do one on the bottom line, or is there?
I think that this budget is gonna end up moving forward one way or the other. This is just for the recommendation. I don't think it's a budget that's gonna pass with the voters, but if we're just gonna move it along so the budget committee can put their recommendation, I don't see any point in dragging it out.
Okay, so we are on, page 34. Yes.
All right. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the 2026 budget in the amount of $5,555,750.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Diane, aye?
Scott, aye.
Kathleen, no.
Okay, you should go
I
back
move to adjourn our meeting at
10:40.
That was our fastest
I'm
meeting
gonna
ever.
depend on you two. 10:40 p.m., 10:40 a.m.
Okay, so.
Second,
All in favor?
Diane, aye?
Scott, aye.
Kathleen, I.
Okay. So I'm bringing the budget committee meeting back in order. At 1 minute, Board of Selectmen. Okay, so now we're on the police department. So, I just wanted, so it was 7, 4, and 3 against, and no
Yeah.
one abstained. Okay. So I think just for the minutes here, the ambulance is 0 because as you know, those funds are now part of the fire department. So I just wanted to at least mention it. I don't think we need to vote on that. So the fire department. Page 22. Okay, fire department budget, $877,932.
Motion.
Keith motions. Have a second? Second for Jules. Any discussion on this? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. So we got 1, 2, 3. Those that are saying aye, please raise your hand. Okay. And we have one no.
Yes.
Anybody abstain? Okay, fire passes. Okay, building inspection. So that is $65,518.
Motion?
Keith motions, second?
Second.
Second, Jules. Any discussion on this?
I think
Who
that was
seconded?
Deb
That was
Carney.
me.
Oh,
Deb,
Deb,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Passes unanimous. Okay, emergency maintenance, $13,942.
Make the motion?
Keith motions,
Second.
Lisa seconds. Any questions on this? Those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Passes. Okay, highway and street administration. $509,716. Any, Diane moves?
So moved.
Second.
Second by Keith. Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Highway and streets. $307,400.
Motion?
Motion by Keith.
Who second?
Lisa seconds. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Passed. Unanimous. And then we have streetlights, $18,500.
Make the motion?
Keith motions. Who seconds? Someone second? Jules? Any discussions?
Do we have an unassigned fund balance for that? I think I asked that already.
The unassigned fund balance, or the capital reserve
Capital
account,
reserve, yeah.
is for the replacement of the LED lights at end of life. So they're not for the actual running of them.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstain? Okay. Solid waste disposal is 22,000. No, I'm sorry, 28, where am I? $78,030.
Make the motion?
Keith motions,
I'll second.
Tim seconds. Questions?
We have an update on what we talked about at the last meeting.
They'll be part of the warrant articles.
Chad does have new numbers, so.
But
Chad does have new numbers.
Or more just sold out to Casella.
Yes. With monkey.
He did?
Horrifying, yes.
It's horrifying.
That's odd. No,
It's
that's not part of our budget right now.
$78,030. Need a motion?
Probably just did that.
We already did that.
Keith had the
Okay.
motion and Tim seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Health administration. There's $71.89.
Yeah.
I don't have my glasses. $7,189.
Make the motion?
Keith motions. Jules seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Pest control, $100.
I'll make the motion.
Lisa makes a motion for pest control. Do I have a second for pest control?
A second.
Deb seconds. Questions? All in favor?
I'm
Aye.
sorry. Who seconded? Deb.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Welfare Administration, $12,074.
Make the motion.
Keith motions,
Second.
second by Diane. Any questions?
Is that like a part-time, must be a part-time position of some sort, or somebody, this is the salary for it?
It's a combined position between the admin assistant, there will also be family service administrator.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Direct assistance. $24,800. That level funds from last year. Jules motions. Second, Keith. Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, I have it. Vendor payments, 21,000.
Make the motion.
Keith motions,
I'll second.
Lisa seconds. No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Parks and Recreation. So now we go to page 31. $98,060.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah, it was-
Yeah.
Okay, Keith motion, second. Jules, okay. Questions? All in,
There seems to be substantial underspending of what was budgeted last year. At least on the report that I have.
yeah, 86,050, it's up $12,010. And they expensed 65,635. John, can you comment on that?
You know, you got a 15,000 for P&R building maintenance, and this year was less than $6,000.
So this is the Boys and Girls Club, so do we,
We haven't received all of the invoicing for that first line yet.
okay,
The way, we own the building, the contract dictates that we take care of all the maintenance, the electricity, the upkeep of the building. It's occupied by the Boys and Girls Club on the top floor and the senior center on the bottom floor. They take care of all the custodial work, and we rely on them to pass along the invoicing to us so that we can appropriately charge the budget.
so there are remaining invoices that have
Right,
not
they're
yet been
behind in
processed.
getting us that information.
And I
Okay,
believe when we saw the historical information for that, the amount that's budgeted really does float that what is actually paid, sometimes
Right.
even not enough in that line, depending on
Correct.
what happens in the building.
This year, we've paid for substantial maintenance and upkeep of the building, a lot of air conditioning repairs, heating work, and as the building ages, I anticipate we'll be spending more on that building.
Well, with the new town hall, we shouldn't need that, space down below, but,
No, we do.
I mean,
We're contracted
nobody
into it,
wanted-
John. We're contracted into it, we can't get out of it.
okay.
Yeah.
It's a
Because
90
nobody even wants to have a
99
meeting
years,
there, it's so,
99-year
Yeah.
contract,
it's
John.
so dirty.
dirty and cold,
What?
and cold. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, $98,060. Anyone opposed? Abstain? Okay, then we go on to the library. So library, $76,365.
Make the motion.
Keith motions,
I'll second.
Tim seconds. Any discussions? I have a question though, Kathleen, are we fully staffed over there now? Did we replace the librarians?
Yes, yep, we are fully staffed. We just hired a new library director. My hope is that she'll be able to start on the 18th.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Patriotic purposes, $50.
I'll motion.
Tim motions.
I'll second.
Lisa seconds. Do we have any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
I don't know where you're buying the $50 flag though, cover all of them, but, okay.
Other culture and recreation, this is part of your old home day, Christmas in the Village, 2,300, that's level funded. Need a motion.
Make the motion.
Keith motions. Second,
I'll second.
Lisa seconds. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, Conservation Administration, $1. We slashed their budget. Okay, to keep the line open, I do need a motion.
I'll motion.
Lisa motions.
I'll second.
Diane seconds. No discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Other conservation, old Allenstown Meeting House. So that's $1,699.
Make the motion.
Okay, Keith motions.
I'll second.
John seconds. Questions? Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, passes. Economic Development Functions, $6,000, so $6,000. That level funds.
Yep.
Make the motion.
Keith motions,
Second.
Diane seconds. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Interest on tax and revenue anticipation notes, so these are the TANs. Level funded at $15,000.
Make the motion.
Keith motions. Second by Jules, okay. Questions?
Is there a slush fund somewhere that all goes to? It says the anticipation of tax revenue.
So these are TAN notes, so that's in the event that the town had a financial, and they had to go to a bank to get a tax anticipation note, this would fund the interest of that.
So this is something that we typically do not use, but it has to be put in the budget every year in the anticipation that it
Oh,
will
so you
happen.
don't, you may not even spend it.
Right.
Historically, we have not.
There was a time when we had a lot of TANs out
Yes.
there, but we haven't
I
had
was
them in
thinking it
years.
went into an account.
Yeah, no, it's not even spent, but if we had to borrow money on behalf of the town, that would cover the interest.
What usually happens is it goes back into unassigned fund balance, and then in years when we're funding capital reserve accounts, the money may be able to spent that way. So it does help the taxpayers in the long run if you look at it that way. This is money that could be earmarked towards those larger purchases ahead of time so that the taxpayers aren't hit with those big purchases all at once.
We have a motion, Chris? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, pass, all right. Capital outlay, machinery, vehicles, and equipment.
Lauren, did we vote on that?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think you voted on the.
On the TANs?
Oh, no, we did not.
Okay, we had a motion, okay, I thought we did. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, so we're up to capital outlay. So that amount is 176,901.
Make the motion.
Keith motions,
I'll second.
Diane seconds. Discussion?
Why did the cost of the police vehicles go up so high? I mean, she made a explanation that increased cost, but that's substantial.
They were underfunded substantially prior to that. And
They've
the new
been
vehicles, if you
underfunded.
watch, and if you
Yeah.
watch the car market over the past couple of years, it has skyrocketed.
Fortunately, I haven't had.
You're a lucky man. There's people out there trying to buy cars right now, it's awful.
Okay, so who motioned this? Need a motion.
We had Keith
Keith?
and Diane seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, capital outlay improvements other than buildings, so that's $18,300.
I'll make the motion.
Keith motions,
I'll second.
Tim seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay. And there's nothing yet to transfer to capital reserve account, that's 0. Okay, bottom line. So this is for the board, the budget committee, to recommend or not recommend $5,555,750 for the operating budget for the town of Allenstown.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Who did?
Julie. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes.
Okay, show of hands on the ayes. Okay. 7. Those opposed? 1. Those abstained? Okay. So that's just for the budget. Okay, we'll go on to the revenues.
Can I just ask a quick question of John? John, we just spoken earlier, I think at one of the BOS meetings, about the department heads being advised that they should prepare for a default budget. Have they been working on that? Have they reviewed and looked at the actual default figures that exist? Or if they're gonna be talking about adjustments?
I've alerted all the department heads to prepare.
Okay. Thank you, just wanted to check.
I can certainly send out a reminder.
Okay, I just don't, if the vote goes that way, I don't want us to be caught unawares. I think it's best to be prepared for both scenarios.
I don't think we've ever voted on the revenues. We can control the revenues.
I do have a question.
All right.
The public safety one, but no one was 71 on that revenue.
Yeah, there was,
Did two people stay? Yeah, there had to be.
it's 8,991. Was only one that abstained.
Right.
That said no.
Right, when no said yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the revenues, I mean, this is pretty much out of our control. Do we need to vote on this, John?
No,
No.
that's just for information.
And, yeah, because I've never seen it as a voting thing. So we budgeted for 5,507,000 and year-to-date received 5,218,000.
It's just projected, 507, 5,507,000.
Yes, 875. So it's down 218,553 than projected. But is it likely that we would get more revenue towards, from now until the end of the year?
We're still,
Likely.
we're still planning on getting, property tax paid.
Right.
The deadline is Monday.
Okay.
Melaine?
Yes.
We've had two votes that totaled 10. We had a 9-1 and we had a 7-3.
Yeah.
But on the bottom line, we only had a 7-1.
Bottom line, who voted yes on the bottom line? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. And 1 no. Well.
No, it has to be 10. So
And yeah, you can count me, so that's 9 to 1.
Okay.
it's 9-1?
Yes.
Budget committee.
Okay, so now we're going to do the warrant articles. Do we want to take 5 minutes? Take a 5-minute recess? It's gonna put here, so it's
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do the warrant articles. So before we get into the monetary parts of the warrant articles, I do wanna point out that the ones that were appointed to the budget committee, so that would be Mark, Roger Staley, Lisa, Chris, and Victoria. Because you were appointed, if you want to run again, you need to be on the ballot in March. So you'll be able to go in on a,
I'm sorry, you misphrased that, not if you want to run that.
okay,
You
just
need
make
to go
sure
in
you
and
want to
sign
run.
up.
So noted. And Deb, you're up legitimately in 26, so you'll need to put your name on the ballot.
Okay.
Okay? So yeah, just make sure you all go to town hall.
So is
Sign
that
up again.
in 13 and 14, so there's gonna be 2 people short, or are you saying there's gonna be more because the appointed people need to?
The appointed people will have to go in for a 2 or a 3.
So there's probably like 4 or 5 open spots.
Correct.
Six open
This,
spots.
yeah, 6 open
Well,
spots.
5 because of appointments, and 1 because.
Because of you.
Yeah,
that
'cause
you're-
your role is legitimately over, in 26, but everybody else was appointed.
Time flies when you're having fun.
The first day to, sign up is January 21. The last day to sign up is January 30.
January what?
21st, the first day you can. sign.
21st to the 30th.
And really quick, just since we're talking about that, the school board is gonna have 2 openings on it for this cycle as well. So
Okay.
if you know anybody that's interested in sitting on the school board, we'll have 2 openings.
Okay.
Both people said they were not gonna rerun.
Great, thank you, Keith. All right, so I'm gonna go to page, I don't know what page it is, but if you go to, article number 14, warrant article number 14.
We do 14 and 15, since we just did 14.
Because it's a warrant, we're doing the warrant
But we just approved
for
the budget,
recommendations.
right?
What's that?
Didn't we just approve the budget? When
Yeah,
those
but-
numbers classify over?
I prefer to do it this way to keep it clean. Okay, town operating budget. Shall the town of Allenstown raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by the vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein totaling $5,555,750. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $5,259,603, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Allenstown or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13X and 16 to take up the issue of revised operating budgets only. So the estimated tax impact on the operating budget would be would make it $10.44, which would be the town portion of your tax bill. tax impact, on a default budget would be $9.88. Okay, so this is gonna be done a little differently right now. I'm going to have the Board of Selectmen do their recommendations, and then we'll go in as Budget Committee and do our recommendations. Okay, Board of Selectmen. Are you recommending or not recommending?
Well, we've already passed to the two.
Right. Right.
So,
So 2 to 1.
Okay, 2 to 1. Okay. Then you want to redo this again for the Budget Committee. So those in favor, raise your hand. So 10. Those opposed? 1.
Was it 9 and?
No.
9 to 1, 9 to 1.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Okay, nobody abstained. All right. Okay, the store operating budget. Shall the town of Allenstown raise and appropriate as an operating budget for the Allenstown Store Commission, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, totaling $2,787,177. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $2,743,500, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Allenstown or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40, 13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. This article does not impact the tax rate. It's paid for, as you know, by the store users. So I'm gonna bring this to the Board of Selectmen.
Make a motion that we support or recommend, rather. Is that what we do, or you just need?
Yeah, you need,
Okay, I can support.
second, all in favor?
Malane, why does it say that there is a tax?
Yeah, Keith just pointed that out, I'm gonna correct that. That was for information, but since sewer is a usage fee, it's paid by user fees,
Oh,
there is
right.
no tax impact, so I will correct that to 0.
okay, Budget Committee, all those in favor of the store operating budget, please raise your hands. Okay, those opposed?
Excuse me, Malane, what was the vote of the board?
3-0.
3-0, thank you.
Okay, so this is 10-0. Okay, sewer department, emergency and special projects, non-capital reserve fund. To see if the town will vote to establish a fund to be known as the sewer department emergency and special projects, non-capital reserve fund under the provisions of RSA 35:1-C for the purpose of covering unforeseen operating contingencies and special non-capital projects related to the treatment and disposal of municipal wastewater in order to protect the sewer system and ratepayers from unexpected costs, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $295,000 to be placed in said fund, with said sum to come from the unassigned sewer fund balance, surplus from prior years, no amount to be raised by taxation, and further to designate the sewer commissioners as agents to expend from said funds. No tax impact, so Board of Selectmen,
I support it. Support.
okay, 3-0, John.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor for the Budget Committee? Oh, we need a motion, I'm sorry, we need a motion, right?
I actually quickly got one
Go
quick
ahead.
question. Scott, did you guys come back into session?
We did, and I thought about that when we took the vote. We have not. You wanna make this official?
Well, John,
Well, can't we just record through and then we can go into session and unofficial session and repeat all the votes that we just took? Say what we're in.
okay, you wanna do it that way, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that will save time.
Yeah,
That'll save time.
Yep.
I'll make the motion.
okay.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Second, Jules, so Keith and Jules. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, okay, 10-1. 10-0. Town contingency fund. To see if the town will vote to establish a contingency fund per RSA 31:98-A. Such fund shall not exceed 1% of the amount appropriated by the town for town purposes during the preceding year, excluding capital expenditures and the amortization of debt, to be used for the current year for unanticipated expenses that may arise, and further to raise and appropriate $50,000 to put in the fund. The sum to come from taxation. Any appropriations left in the fund at the end of the year will lapse to the general fund. Majority vote required. Tax impact is 9 cents. So was this for the, was this for recycling?
No.
No.
Our budget was overspent by 50,000 this year. Initially, at first, we thought it was much higher, again, because we didn't have a full-time finance director and our books were not in order. So what this contingency fund does, and normally I would like to fund it from unassigned fund balance, but this year our auditors have advised that we not do that because we don't know what our unassigned fund balance is. But it kind of protects the taxpayers, the various department heads, in the event that there was something that caused us to overexpend our budget. This contingency fund is like a cushion that protects us and prevents us from violating any laws. Again, if it's funded from unassigned fund balance, then there's no tax impact, but unfortunately we can't fund it that way. I don't anticipate that the voters will pass it because there is that tax impact from the 50,000. But I think it's important to get it out there so that the voters become familiar with the account, the fund, how it works, what it is, and hopefully in future years we'll fund it from unassigned fund balance.
So who are the agents to expend on this?
The Board of Selectmen, as the Board of Selectmen controls that final budget, the bottom line budget, in all cases. So this is the same.
So this $50,000 then, so that is if any department were to go over?
The whole budget as a whole. So typically, it's a bottom line budget. If one department goes over but another underspends, it's not a big deal. We're still under budget over line. But if our total budget, say we get this 5.5 million budget and we spend 5.6 because something happens, maybe we see a drastic increase in our health insurance mid-year that we have no control over, that for whatever implication we end up overspending, that would protect us. We would have that money to put towards that over expenditure. But only in the event that the total budget is overspent, not just one department. So it's a safety net. Similar to what the sewer department has set up. Theirs is geared towards capital expenses. They're fortunate enough to be able to set up theirs as a capital account, so they will fund it one time and that money will float from year to year. John has been looking in and consulting with legal to see if there's a way that we could structure ours similarly, but to the best of our knowledge right now, we don't believe we can.
Okay. I'm gonna defer to the Board of Selectmen for your vote.
I make a motion to support this, long-term.
I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any questions of the Budget Committee? Because this is definitely something that we've never seen in the
Yeah.
past. And if it were coming out of unassigned fund balance, I think that's one thing. But if, we're not doing that this year, it's a tax impact, albeit 9 cents, it's still a tax impact. So I just wanted to make sure that you were all very clear on this.
But it's going on the ballot for the voters to decide.
Right. So it's just that we're either recommending this or not recommending this.
I'll make the motion to recommend.
You make a motion on the floor, okay?
I'll second that.
And you second that? Any other discussions?
It's kind of like a maybe though, right? It's not, yeah, so it's an insurance type of thing, or?
The money only gets spent in the event that we overspend our budget, which is a bad thing. We don't want to do it. But last year we did. We overspent our budget. So there is a possibility, especially if we go default, that we could inadvertently overspend again.
And where would the fund go if you don't use it? It stays in the general fund, in our account.
Where'd the money come from when you overspent 50 grand last year?
Unassigned fund balance, but DRA,
Frowns upon.
yeah, it's not really legal. When we get a budget, we're supposed to spend within it, which we all agree is what we want to do. Absolutely, we should be doing everything within our power to make sure we are honoring the voters' directives. But sometimes things do happen, like we saw the huge increase in health insurance. For whatever reason, sometimes there is something the town may incur that is beyond our control. So this just gives us a little bit of safety. It protects our bond rating. We're not, if we overspend, we're not really overspending. We're where right now, they can look at us from last year and say, oh, the town underspent $50,000. Yeah, it was corrected because it came out of some fund balance, but if we had this fund set up, this was that added layer for protection for the town, for the taxpayers.
What's the balance of the unassigned funds?
We don't know, that's the problem, that's why we're not funding any capital reserve accounts. The auditors did start doing our 2024 audit though. Will they have it wrapped up prior to the audit though? I know we wouldn't be able to put anything on, but yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, so it's, we won't find out till later in the year, I guess maybe April, May, and they come back to us with those results. So hopefully next year, we'll be able to fund.
So what budgets have been overspent in the last couple of years?
This, to the best of my knowledge, this was the only time that we've overspent recently. I don't believe any of our audits we were behind on audits. And I think in large part of that was that we did not have a finance director. Our books were a mess. We were trying to work with MRI to straighten out our accounts. Our department heads were kind of flying blind. They were making these spending decisions without any real idea of what their bank accounts looked like.
Well, what was your expenditure last year?
50,000 roughly.
50,000?
Right about. Yeah, maybe 52.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, right?
We have a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah.
Okay, budget committee, all those, so the board was 3-0 on this?
Yeah.
3-0, John.
Thank you.
Okay, budget committee, all in favor, please raise your hand. 2, 3, 5, 6, those opposed? 6-4. Okay, off to Article 18. So Article 18 looks like a veteran, so we should discuss this, or do we need to discuss this?
There's no monetary
Right.
impact, it changes the way we do our veterans exemption.
But we
Okay.
still have this line in here that says this credit is for any person who has been dishonorably discharged.
Dishonorably.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that a typo? That was my question. It's gotta be a typo.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I always thought
Member
general
will
or
protect
honorable,
federal-
you get benefits.
Any person who has been dishonorably discharged, or an officer honorably,
I'll
so covered
double check
military
that,
service,
Scott.
and
Thank you.
Yeah,
military
how come
service,
it's
connected
zero
injury.
impact? Is it because nobody uses it, or?
I
Well,
believe
this
they're
is
correct.
There's no money being raised by taxation, it's an exemption off your assessed value
Oh,
of your property.
yeah. Right now you get
If you qualify
500, and
for it.
so this would just increase, well, increase for the disability part.
It
Right.
affects revenue.
okay. Which kinda almost ought to be a cost, though, you would think that, you know. How much do we spend on that now, does anybody know?
What the exemptions currently total that are being offered.
Yeah,
I don't know if we have that on one of our revenue reports, but our assessor should be able to get that for you. But I understand what you're saying. The more exemptions we offer, the higher the taxes are on everybody who's not receiving the exemption because they're picking up
Right.
the exemptions we're giving. Yeah, so in a way it does.
it does, in a way, yeah.
For DRA's purposes, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I believe you're correct as far as they have to be honorably discharged in order to.
Or general, I think general
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
but,
Yep.
So are we trying to get the verbiage out for dishonorably?
Yeah, we believe that's a typo.
Okay.
because right after that, it says honorable for officers.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
something, so, it's gotta be a mistake.
Okay, so,
He's right, he's right. It says, or an officer.
Honorable, officer honorably
Yeah,
separated.
that should be removed.
an officer?
What, we're just gonna give officers this $500 off of their taxes?
Just because he's an officer?
And that's very specific.
I think this language came from our assessor.
It did.
Yeah, so and I believe.
I'll go back to him and make sure he's got it correct.
Yeah,
But as far as this vote then, going by the
So we could
verbiage.
do a couple things. We could wait until the verbiage is corrected and vote at the public hearing, but we bring the budget committee meeting back into session. Or we could vote as amended, but we don't know what those amendments are. So I mean, I'm thinking that we put this pending and vote at the public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. Second that.
Okay. Pending the public hearing. And in the meantime, maybe if we could get an accounting of, from the assessor of, you know, what chunk of money is, it would be good to know. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's five hundred bucks, I think it's great, but we'd like to know what that is.
So, it was my understanding when and I, don't quote me, because I could be off,
And
but
we should know
it was my understanding that the state changed
Right.
the,
That the verbiage was wrong.
Yeah.
right, but they changed the total, so it was 2,000 now, that you could get total.
And it's going to
Where
2,500.
it was 2,500 previously, you could get 2,000 and 500.
And that's what they call the stacking.
Right.
Yeah.
And they changed it so you couldn't, so this article changes it so that we can maintain what we currently do for our disabled veterans.
Right. And I'm all for supporting disabled
Right.
veterans, but I don't think we should support dishonorably
No,
discharged people
no, I-
and officers only.
I agree. Officers shouldn't get anything.
Okay.
Say that
one. Work for a living.
19. So the town of Allenstown vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $450,000 to be added to the operating budget for the purposes of solid waste collection and disposal for Allenstown residents. Majority vote required, and it was a petition warrant article. Estimated tax impact is 85 cents. So I'm gonna turn this over to the Board of Selectmen.
As I've said previously, this is a petition warrant article, and I do intend to amend that budget amount, so that 86-cent impact. We don't know until deliberative what the impact is really going to be.
Did you get updated numbers for that yet?
So that's what Chad just passed.
Oh, all right, my bad.
Yeah, so what I just handed you, the last time we talked, and I gave some information to the Board of Selectmen, and that was going off of our previous contract. This is what Casella would offer us now. This is just to run the transfer station portion of it. They will not give us a curbside without opening a bid process, because they don't wanna tip their hand in that regard. So, from our previous contract to our new contract, there's a bunch of new fees. Prior, we paid weight for mattresses. Now mattresses are $55 a piece. Prior, we paid $102 or $101.50 for bulky waste in our old contract. Our new contract, we paid their offer we would pay $155 per ton for bulky waste, which is furniture and whatnot, with a $200 haul fee, which we did not have before.
And I just want to point out that was a special arrangement between Casella with Allenstown, so that they didn't change their contracts across the board. They always were not offering that to other towns, but because we pulled out of our contract, now we will not get that special treatment. Just want to point that out.
So, that being said, I did the spreadsheet kind of running it as if the town bought a Packer and ran the transfer station versus hiring Casella at these rates to run the transfer station. So the first year, you're looking at $203,920 if the town runs it. And privately, we could do it for $143,420. The haul prices or the curbside prices that I did, again, I used our previous contract with their inflators in them for the years out, because they would not give me a contract because if this goes out to bid, they want to be competitive in their bid. They don't want everybody to see their bid here. And then, but these rates here for their haul material is, as far as the transfer station is concerned, are standard rates, what they charge everybody across the board. So they were very comfortable in giving us those numbers. Once they made the deal with Permore and
Fermor was no longer out back.
So looking at this, I would consider amending this warrant article at deliberative to either reflect the price, I would go $150 for the private, if that's what the public was interested in supporting and wanted to see happen. If they wanted to keep, or reinstate curbside pickup as well, then it looks like to me we'd be in like the $350 range for the town to do it. So I would amend it from $450 to $350 if that was the intentions of the voters.
But that's just year one.
That's year
Yes,
one.
and that's all we can, this budget only encompasses year one. So
Right.
each year, then that budget, just like every other budget, as we progress and change, we would put in these numbers in the operating budget. This year, it's not in the operating budget because the board chose to cancel the contract, they canceled the service. So that's why this year, it's on its own warrant article. But in the future years, it would be part of that operating budget.
I got a quickie. You got 85 cents for 450. Approximately, what would it be for 350 on the tax rate? Like
I would guess
75?
65.
65?
I would guess, yeah, it's about 20
70?
cents.
70. It's,
20 cents per 100, right?
So.
350 divided by $1.05. Am I doing that right?
No.
Cut it in half, so it'd be, so,
You had said
Oh,
five.
250, oh, no, I was using 350, I'm sorry. So 150 is what you're asking?
well, no, that's the first one, so we can go with that. What's the impact on that one, the 150,
The impact of that one is 45 cents.
45 cents? Sounds nice.
Yeah, that does. I thought you said 525 or 536 is a dollar on the tax rate. So that would put each 100,000 at just over 20 cents. So at 150,000, we'd be looking at maybe 25 cents on the
30
tax
cents.
rate.
30 cents, probably, yeah, 30 cents, if that. And the other one would be about 65, something like that.
That's what I would guess. But again, these numbers are projections, so I'd be asking, for that 150 or that, what did you have here, 350, for curbside and private hauling. But then the onus would be on us to make sure that we operate within that. We couldn't go over that because it's on a warrant article. Once that amount is approved or disapproved by the voters, it's cemented. That's the amount we're authorized to spend or not spend.
There's 28 cents per thousand on 150.
28.
A couple of questions on that. So, one of them I think you just answered. So, if it gets passed at $350,000 in October, $350,000 is spent, what happens? What
Just like
happens?
every other line now.
What
It
happens
becomes
to
part of the budget. If it's approved, it becomes part of the budget. So the bottom line of the budget changes.
So what happens to curbside then? 'Cause if I just
Well, then we have to
understood
find,
Kathleen right,
find money from somewhere else in the budget.
If I just understood it right, she said that's cemented in and you can't adjust, you can't go over that, right? Did I hear you
My
right?
understanding is when something is passed by the voters, a budgeted amount on a warrant article, the voters are saying this is what we're authorizing for this
Right.
particular action, and that's what you have to spend. So in the first year, we would need to contract it right. So we wanna make sure we are budgeting an appropriate amount to cover the cost of these services.
So if it goes over $350,000, then what happens? What happens in October?
We would have to operate under that, so say we chose initially, we wanna put it out to bid and we go out to Casella. And Casella could see, they would see our warrant article, the amount that's there. If their bids didn't come in, we would have to try to operate it ourselves, find a way to cost effectively provide that service in that amount.
But again, I get that, but what happens if you hit the fall, October, November?
So
and
like,
we-
if the
we-
tipping fees were
If the
too
tipping
high
fees
and we
go
couldn't-
up,
yeah.
or people throw away more garbage because did we also factor in the recycling that's not gonna be collected anymore, maybe, right? Those different things. And all of a sudden, we hit $350,000 in expenses. What happens to garbage pickup then?
I don't know if it would be the same boat we're in right now, if we would not be able to take that solid waste at the transfer station. We'd have to explore that and see, but that's pretty much the situation we're currently in.
Well, I mean, I don't think we're in a current situation because we all have private pickup per se,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just, I'm not sure if I heard you right or not, but it sounded like you said you're submitted into that dollar amount and that's what you have to go ahead and spend. So what happens if we go over that dollar amount? What happens if all of a sudden tipping fees go up because, you know, the state puts more regulations on them and they have to charge higher fees, or all of a sudden, you know, there's a major war again and gas prices go back up to, you know, double the amount we're paying right now. You
But
know,
I
and
think
those
if we
things.
get a contract, they can't fluctuate that.
Those
like
are all
that.
in the- yeah, that's
So that
all.
would be in the.
But this isn't a contract.
No,
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 the
it's
tip-
an estimate. It's-
Based off the current rates and fees, and he did consult with Casella on that, so that's why these numbers are conservative to make sure. So my point is, if somebody looks at this and says, oh, you're projecting 150, but we could pass 130. No, don't do that. This is a conservative number that is there to protect us because we need this amount of money to spend on these services. We could spend under, we can't spend over. So we wanna go as high as feasible for the taxpayers.
So, and the other thing that I built into this is everything is done, all of my numbers, I have historical numbers for what we pick up for trash, when we pick up trash, and what we pick up for trash and recycling, and then when we move back to trash. So, those, all these numbers use a 1 year window.
Tonnage?
For tonnage, for all of those expenses are set out in those numbers for 1 year. This won't start until April or May.
Well, and I understand, because if it passes, it's not gonna start until
Right.
that point in time. I
Right.
totally get that and understand that. So, a couple other quick questions for you, is, what about labor?
As far as which one?
Who's gonna, unless I missed it on here, I don't see the labor of the people driving the truck and picking up the trash.
So if we do it curbside, we did it curbside prior and with the staff we have.
But didn't we reduce,
We did not, we reduced by one number and then 3 years later it came back. So we did not, we are currently staffed with the same number of people. We actually have a part-timer extra right now than we did when we picked up trash by in-house.
So what projects couldn't get done then if we're putting people on? I'm just.
Well, no, and that is a reality. There are some things that won't get done, or will get pushed off, or there'll be a struggle with. But like I said in the past, we've done it. We've taken on more in the recent future since we've gotten rid of trash, and we might have to lax back to the old times.
Well, and I totally understand.
So,
because we
wait.
talked a lot about what the town does,
Right.
because we have that extra labor, and so.
I was asked to produce numbers.
Yeah.
Why don't you ask me what I would recommend? Because I would recommend we hire somebody and we open the transfer station, because that's where we're violating the law. So other than that, I was asked to produce numbers for both picking up curbside and running the transfer station, which this is what you have. I would never go back to picking up trash.
Okay.
If it was my choice.
So you're saying people should keep who they have?
I think they should keep the private guys on there.
That's what I'm thinking.
And my thought is that we're, I mean, John and I have sat with DES, we're not gonna be in compliance if we don't have a transfer station operating.
So would you recommend, then Chad, if I understand you right, could you say, would you recommend doing the cost of town to run the transfer station versus private, and do the private at 143,420?
Yes.
That's what you would recommend?
That's what I would recommend.
So instead of 350, you're saying 150?
And I think that's more likely to pass
Yeah.
on a warrant article. I think the 350 mark is not gonna pass. I mean, it's a big number. I think
Keep
at
the
one.
transfer station open, so it kinda has to.
So keeping the transfer station open, we help some of the residents that take in on that private hauler because and with one bag a week, and they can just show up and dump like they always have. And we fulfill our obligation as far as DES is concerned by running the transfer station.
And again, this is something that is cyclical and moving, so if the residents decide they just wanna do the transfer station this year, that doesn't prevent them from reinstating curbside pickup the following year if they decide they want to do that. So at any time that the general public said, hey, I really want this service back, they could take the actions to ensure that happens.
Is there verbiage we can put on it that says we're not compliant if this doesn't pass?
No, but we can spread that. We can absolutely spread that message. We can talk about it deliberative. I will be sure to post about it on Facebook. Let your neighbors, your friends know. We can work hard to get that word out there.
And I think if nothing else, what I hear now, I think people have settled into their haulers. But what I've heard now is, I gotta go to Concord to get rid of my mattress. I gotta go to Concord to get rid of a bureau. I gotta go, you know what I mean? And I think the transfer station portion is what people are really complaining about at this point, more than anything else.
And then they're paying double and triple in Concord.
Well, yeah, and the rates aren't gonna be any, I mean, a lot of those rates aren't gonna be any cheaper here for things like mattresses and stuff like that.
They don't have
because
to drive an extra 20 minutes to go drive.
Right, but we will be able to help them with, you know, I had a party and my can's overflowing. Here, can you take these 3 bags of trash and, so that the animals aren't in them, and that type of thing, I think we'll be able to help them with that type of thing.
I was looking at it as I pay over $400 a year for Casella. And at 30 cents, I'd be paying like $150 a year, so I'd be saving money if I.
Sure.
It is more economical to have the town resume curbside pickup than people are currently paying.
When you gonna make the decision whether to take it all?
So once this board makes their decisions, again, that one, I don't think whether the board recommends it or the budget committee recommends it is really gonna be a strong indicator on whether or not that passes. But once all these warrant articles are finalized, I do plan on doing a post to see what the general sense is from the public, letting them know that if we did transfer station only, it would be that $150,000. If they wanted to resume curbside pickup, we'd be looking at $350,000.
Will this
And try to get as much feedback as I can prior to the deliberative, so that hopefully I can make one amendment at the deliberative, and it either passes or fails.
Cause it's a hit or miss. I would put the cheapest one on there, like the 150, like.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to get it passed, so we're compliant.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and then, like you said, then we could sit down and look at the transfer state, the curbside numbers, and look at the possible, what the impact is gonna be to the services we currently provide.
And it would give us longer to plan and really accurately prepare.
Right.
It's vital that it passes, even with the 150 to open the transfer station, otherwise, what happens?
But isn't the transfer station open right now?
Not according to DES.
No.
We're taking electronics, we're taking refrigerators, we're taking waste oil, brush, and leaves.
Okay.
By law, we don't have to take any of those. We have to take municipal solid waste. And we don't take that. So that's where, we don't have to take mattresses, we don't have to take TVs, but we have to take solid waste. Yeah, household solid waste. So that's where our problem is. And we have no ability to do that at this point. So Perma was running a pilot program, the pilot program ended.
Because people weren't bringing their stuff there?
No, because, we had a 90-day, that was our original feel-out period with them, and then Perma sold to Casella, so.
And they were not making any profit, so they were
No.
really saving our butts by being there on Saturdays, but I know there were Saturdays where they had a guy stationed there for 8 hours and maybe saw 3 people.
Yeah,
It was not profitable.
We saw constant, they gave us reports weekly, and they weren't covering payroll for 2 hours.
So now, where could people dump their trash right now if they had overflow of trash, if they don't have a private, Permont or whoever, which I know now is Casella?
So you could go to,
You could go to Concord, you could go to Hooks, that you just have to pay.
You have to pay, but we don't have a contract with either one of those, and according to DES, we need one.
They have a contract with, like, Concord?
Yes.
I thought we had a co-op with them.
We got out of the co-op when we pulled out of Wheelabrator in 2012 or 11.
Yeah, is Wheelabrator still operational?
No, well, I don't know who's operating Wheelabrator anymore, but
But they do have a place to go, they just have to pay.
they have to pay.
But
But
we don't
DES,
have
that does not, we made that argument, John and I sat and Scott was there as well, we sat in there with the DES's lawyer and the head of the Department of, and they said that doesn't cut the mustard.
There's gotta be tons of towns out there that don't have a land.
Well, yeah, no, Bo's the
not-
same way. Bo's the same way, they use Concord, but they have a contract with Concord, Concord will not.
Well, how much would it cost to get back in a contract with Concord?
I don't know if we reached out and,
I don't think they're interested.
no.
So, I think we need to table this until we get the accurate
Right.
numbers. We
Yeah.
can't vote on this
You
until.
won't get accurate numbers until deliberative.
Well,
So it's up,
right,
this
but
is
can't we-
something that's gonna be amended, so you're just voting on whether or not to let this warrant article, the voters decide, and it's a petition warrant article they submitted, so again, I don't think it's clear what your recommendation is.
We have to
500 of
recommend
them
the way
voted
that it's
on and said
written.
they want this already. So you're just voting whether or not you're gonna recommend the
Right,
passage.
but can they do that at
But
deliberative?
Kathleen, I do have a question though,
So I
this
don't-
500 that I keep hearing, how many of those 500 people it's duplicate? That have signed more than once?
None. There were no duplicate signatures. We had 500 actual voters. I went through and made sure that they were verified.
Of which
by
250 vote.
Well,
Well,
Just saying.
regardless, so like,
Yeah.
right,
I'd
but
say they
can't
seemed
we,
like they cared. They want a transfer station.
can't we wait to vote after deliberative once that amendment? is
Absolutely,
made?
we can call, because we're gonna have to call our meeting back to order.
Yeah, so I would recommend we table this till after deliberative.
Is the question how much to put it on, 150, 350, 450,
I mean,
is that the
both.
question?
At the deliberative, that will be my question for the voters. For you guys today, you're just voting on whether or not you recommend the warrant article to the voters, which again, I don't know.
I agree with
500
Chad,
of
it's gotta
them
be
voted.
something that passes or we're screwed.
but they can do it later, so they don't have to do
Yeah, you
it
can
now.
absolutely
Yeah,
do
we
it later.
I think we need more information.
Yeah, I have a question being new on the board, and if we're not in compliance and the voters vote no to everything, how we're still screwed,
So that's gonna be a Board of Selectmen decision.
if the
They're
vote-
gonna have to figure out where to find money somewhere to put us back in compliance.
Okay, so why does the town people vote on this if it's something that has to be done no matter what? Or are they voting on how we do it?
Well, they're
The
going
Board
to
of
do it
Selectmen
SB2.
voted not to do it. The Board of Selectmen voted to shut down the transfer station
Right.
entirely. The people had no say over that. So
Right.
this, the board has to follow this. So if the people vote to pass this, the board no longer has the
But what if
ability
the
to say
people
we're not gonna
vote
spend money
not
on
to
it.
pass it?
I think with 500 signatures,
But
I
I
don't know
don't
if you've
know.
ever seen a petition
What
warrant
do we-
article
what
with that
happens if
many,
we-
I think it's gonna pass.
Yeah, but that's more,
I would
more than voters, they usually
We got an
show up.
onslaught of people who attended the meeting when trash was taken away. I personally got many emails. I was stopped repeatedly out and about when I was in town. The people want a transfer station. I understand you're like, what if they want it? I'm not even worried about this not passing at all.
May I
But it's
ask?
easier to, it's more palatable if it's
If
150.
it's a smaller amount, yes.
It will
And-
never pass at
Sorry.
450.
No.
No, but
It won't
at,
even pass at 350.
At,
So,
it
I think
may,
we're spinning our wheels
but
right
at the
now.
time
Yeah.
that I put it in was with the intention that when we got closer to the actual contract and negotiations, those prices changed throughout a year, who knew what would happen, that we could amend that dollar amount at the deliberative. So even as people were signing it, they knew that that amount could change in the future, but they want a transfer station.
So,
May I
mean,
ask a question?
I just think it would make, go ahead, what do you think, Chris?
A question to the Board of Selectmen. When you voted to shut down the transfer station, did we not know the repercussions from DES when that was voted on?
Allison had reached out and she reported to the board at that meeting that night that they would be in violation.
Okay.
That was
I don't
reported.
remember.
Yes,
I don't
Allison
remember
spoke right
Allison
at
saying
that meeting. She said she had called and spoken with DES that day.
John?
That they had said that it was, and we kept saying, no, we have an agreement with Concord.
John, you wanna
Up
add?
until that time, we were informed by Casella, who was our current curbside pickup contractor, that we had an agreement with Concord that Allenstown residents could dump their municipal waste in Concord. It was only after Chad and I met with DES that they said that that agreement was no longer in place and it was not valid. Otherwise, I would have reported that to the board prior to
Okay.
their decision.
Gotcha.
But Allison did say, if you look back at those meeting minutes from that meeting, where that vote was taken in the cafeteria of the school, Allison had called DES and reported to the board that just that day, I think, she had had a conversation with DES who said, no, you are not in this agreement, you will be in violation.
Okay. Thank you.
So not being in compliance, really, that we would just shut it down entirely. Is that really what we're talking about here?
That's what we did.
Well, not if it's still, you're still taking stuff.
Well, we,
He's not
In
taking
the
what's
eyes of the
legally
state,
required.
right, we continue to take stuff that is part of our permit to hold our permit. Because if we would've closed completely, then we would've given up our permit. And that would've.
Really?
Yeah,
put
that
us
would've
in.
been hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of the engineering to get back. So, by continuing to take the things that we're taking,
And that's allowable.
we've stumbled along.
Is that allowable?
The stuff that we've been taking,
Yeah.
yes, it's
So we're
allowable,
still-
but
It's not
the
required.
problem, what put us into good standing with DES was Permore's pilot program. Because Permore was taking solid waste
Right.
at a cost. Casella is not gonna take solid waste like Permore did. They will take solid waste, I believe they had given us a bid to do so, but it was tens of thousands of dollars to get us through the year. Where Permore was gonna do it just to see where it would go.
Do we have enough time to make it to vote?
So, we have options, I mean, we can put it back out to bid and see what comes along. You know, and if you've ever been involved in the bid process in the municipal world, we put it out for 30 days and then we get bids back, we look at them, and 2 weeks later, it'll be March before.
I'm hopeful that if the board hasn't discussed this yet, it was really just reported to us that Casella had bought Furmore and that they would be ceasing operations. So we haven't even discussed how we're going to address it yet, but I am personally hopeful that if DES does follow up and reaches back out to us and we can show them we have this warrant article coming up in March, we are trying to address this, that.
They'll let us extend it.
Yes, perhaps they would say, okay, we'll cease our legal action against you and give you a chance to rectify this.
Well, is there any way that we can go, I know the bid process is lengthy, but could we get actual bids prior to
Well, John and
public
I
hearing? I
talked.
mean, we've had plenty of time. It's,
No,
you
John
know,
and I talked about
I
getting
mean,
bids.
this has been since
No,
March.
hold on, we talked about getting bids, but we don't have, nobody's given us the money to actually, there's no money in the budget to pay for these
it was
bids.
voted
There's
to
no
not.
money for any of this.
I understand that, Chad, but I mean, it's now, I mean, this happened last March, and here we are in December, so maybe in September, we should have been getting bids in preparation of these warrant articles, is my thought.
We had the pilot program going.
Yeah.
And our anticipation that would continue, perhaps contracting with Puremore. That ended, they were sold, so this is where we are right now. So there wasn't an anticipation of Puremore ceasing.
So, yeah, the bid process already went out for the transfer station, to open it and run it. Permore was the best deal at the time, they were the ones that came through, at the most reasonable rate, so we went with them. And we were informed last Monday that they sold to Casella.
I got my letter 3 days after it changed.
Yeah.
Like,
So we're in a bit of a bind between sense because of that, but.
Okay, well, I'm thinking that we need to wait until the public hearing.
and hope for the
Table
best that they
this
don't
till
like,
the
shut
public
us
hearing.
down or fine
Well,
us or.
I
Public
think-
hearing is before the deliberative. If you're waiting for an amount, you won't know till the deliberative.
Right, so you'll have to wait till deliberative.
Yeah, so after deliberative, that's
Yeah,
when
we
the
I just,
inevitable meeting will
personally,
see
I
what
just don't
happens.
have enough
Yes.
information.
No, and
That's me.
you need a number to vote on.
Right,
Yeah.
you know,
And for the deliberative, we have to have the warrant articles on there,
On the
right?
ballot already.
So we
yes.
have to vote no
At the
matter what as
deliberative.
far as,
So it will just reflect no recommendation, but again, the
Right.
point I've been trying to make is 500 citizens petitioned this article. They're in favor, I don't think they're hinging their vote on the budget committee's recommendation. That's what I'm saying. That's the point.
So 150 is way better than,
but we don't know, Deb, if it's 150.
well, this was Chad's numbers.
Yeah.
It's whether or not we keep our own and just have a transfer station. I think bare minimum, I think is the best way to
A
go.
safer bet
Yeah.
to see it pass.
Can't you put both on there? Both, or it has to be just one warrant article?
The way the warrant article was written, it's just one amount. So I'm gonna do the best due diligence I can to network with the voters and figure out which figure they would support. I suspect it's gonna be that lower figure, but and if that's the overwhelming response, And then somebody else said, no, I would like to amend it to 350, and then that passed, then the 350 would stay. So we could do 2 amendments to see what happens. I could start at 150, see if it passes, then make it an amendment to 350, and if it doesn't pass, it stays at the 150. We know that's the number that the voters want, and it's likely to pass at the polls. So there are different ways it could be handled, but I'm just trying, in the essence, I'm trying to get it down, and so that the voters who show up are educated. I wanna put it out ahead of time, so they have time to think about it and know where they stand, ask questions that they may have, do their research. So when they show up at the deliberative, it doesn't end up into like a 10-hour discussion of this.
Right.
I'd like them to show up with some
Well,
idea
anyway.
and be ready to make that amendment and keep the vote and the discussion moving forward.
Just with how much more the
Okay, so
the
I
whole
think,
budget is, I think the bare minimum.
I agree, because it is gonna get added to whatever they pass, if they pass that.
It's at $10
$5.25.
already.
Yeah.
all right, I'm thinking that we table this, at least till the public hearing. Then we'll at least get input for which time's the public hearing, and see, you know, and then kind of revisit it at that point. Because I don't think we have enough information to, you know, like, you know, even if we bring it to 150, we don't know if it's gonna go above the 150 and what happens then.
Again, what you're voting on is your recommendation.
Well,
So
I know,
It's going
I
on
know.
the ballot, it's going in front of the voters,
I understand that, Kathleen, I understand that, but it's,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of what ifs, you
Yes.
know. So, can I make that
You can do whatever you want.
I'm gonna make a motion that this be tabled at least till the public hearing, because after the public hearing, we will be resuming as the budget committee. And hopefully we have more information to be able to yes or no, recommend or not recommend.
I don't, what's the more information you're looking for though, because the adjustment won't be made till the deliberative. So by the budget hearing, I don't anticipate, unless you think maybe.
Unless you're
December-
asking me to find you something else out.
Yeah, you have all the information you're gonna have. in the
Well, I would
budget.
like to know, you know, can we enter into a contract with, if not Concord, can we enter a contract with Brookset? I mean, there's other things that we could be doing that I don't think we pursue. That's just me.
But that still doesn't solve the problem of not having our own transfer station.
Well, no, it would.
It would.
Oh,
It would.
But you-
Concord, did they ever get back to us? So I would assume they're out.
They never got back to you? Well, then
No.
it's probably worth another phone call to them.
I mean, I can-
Landfill space, is that a premium? If you look at the projections for the trash markets moving forward, I don't
Has-
think there's.
Has anybody been to Concord on Saturday?
No.
2 hours.
It's
At this point,
least.
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
And they're mean too.
But that being said, I mean, where I can reach back out to Concord, I can call Hooksett. I don't anticipate anybody willing to take on, you
I've
know.
heard Hooksett was a dead no, but that's not official.
you
Right.
can stay in town.
What's the what? It's the what?
Dead no, they were like, no way, get away. We were nothing to do with Allenstown, basically.
I think
The
the
feedback
voters
I got.
want it in town. And again, this article is going on.
I did talk to Pembroke. They were not interested as well.
We need a motion to
So-
table this.
Pembroke would be, if we could somehow patch it up.
You made,
They have zero interest.
I made a motion.
Second
I second it.
Okay.
motion.
So there's a motion and a second to table this until we can resume at the public hearing. Because we're gonna have to resume for other things anyway.
Public hearing.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor, there's a second. Any other discussion on this?
Just to be clear, at the public hearing, the only information you'll be looking for from Chad is whether or not Hooksett or Concord or a neighboring town agreed
Yeah,
to
this-
offer us a contract.
Yeah. Or a number close as reasonably possible, you know, if we have to put it, amend your warrant article from 450 to whatever. Is it-
Oh, those numbers I've given you, it would be, I'm gonna put out either 150 or the 350 to see what the voters
Up to.
prefer. Yeah, up to.
Okay, all in favor of tabling this to the public hearing, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? All right, Article 20, shall the town of Allenstown vote to establish a revolving fund pursuant to RSA 31:95-H for the purpose of facilitating, maintaining, or encouraging recycling as defined in RSA 149-M:4. All revenues received for solid waste services, for fees, charges, or other income derived from the activities or services supported by the fund will be deposited into the fund and the money in the fund shall be allowed to accumulate from year to year and shall not be considered part of the town's general fund balance. And further, to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the solid waste recycling fund, this sum to come from unassigned fund balances. The town treasurer shall have custody of all monies in the fund and shall pay out the same only upon under the governing body, and no further approval is required by the legislative body to expend. Such funds may be expended only for the purposes for which the fund was created, and the majority vote is required as petitioned through a petition warrant article. So my question on this is, I didn't think we were doing anything with unassigned fund balances.
So at the time that this was written, again, these were done back in April, we did not know that yet. We hope to have our audits done. So this is one that I would amend at the deliberative to change that 25,000 to come from taxation.
Taxation, so
From
there'd be a
tax
tax
dollars.
impact. So that being said, I would like to make a motion that we table this to the public hearing as well. I need a second.
Second.
Deb? Any further discussion? One question though, who would have the authority to expend? Would it be the Board of Selectmen like they do with the fire revolving fund?
Yes.
Okay.
And the intention of this was prior to the board's decision to cancel trash, halfway through 2024, we had to cease recycling and there was a large outcry from the public. It just was cost prohibitive. It was costing us too much. A lot of people reached out and said they still wanted to recycle. So the intention of this warrant article is again to put the choice in the hands of the voters, not us, but to put it out on a warrant article that they signed the petition to get on there to see if they want to support a recycling program by using the proceeds of recycling to continue the program. This is again, revolving funds like this is one that if it passed, if the voters decided they did want to spend that money that way, and the recycling program got up and was good, I would recommend we discontinue this revolving fund. It's meant to get the program in place, the structure, the dumpsters, whatever it is you need, and then once you get up, hopefully as close to self-sustaining, then it should be back into the taxes. That's my personal opinion, so the
John,
intention was.
what's the manpower gonna be to, make sure we got clean recycling?
So depending on how deep we get into
I think this is
recycling.
dead on arrival.
Right,
It may be.
right.
It may be.
And I kind of agree with you on the recycling because it's gone down and down and even further down. So, I mean, my thought is if we're gonna recycle three things. We're gonna recycle aluminum and tin cans, we're gonna recycle glass, and we're gonna recycle cardboard.
Are you gonna do glass?
Well, I would only do glass because glass is easy to throw in the pit, easy to load and easy to take out. Right now, municipal solid waste is $135 a ton, glass is $50 to get rid of. So I think that would be worth it because it's a heavier portion of the year. It would drive down the weight we're paying to dispose of it, and at the same time we get a cheaper. But if we were to go full blown, I mean, we would have to convert the new garage into a recycling center. We'd probably have to hire a couple of guys to actually sit through it. So I kinda agree with you. It's just recycling is not going in the right direction. Single source recycling is the best way to do it. And
This might adversely affect the previous one,
No, I don't think so.
because it's another cost added on.
Sure.
Oh, as far as taxation?
Yeah.
Yes, originally the intention was to fund it with unassigned fund balance, so it wouldn't have been, and it would have given the voters a chance to enter into a trial experience. They could have done it for a year, seen how it was working out. Chad could have gotten the dumpster set up. If he was running into hiccups and saying, oh my gosh, we can't man this, our recycling is dirty. In order to successfully implement this, it's gonna cost another $100,000. We could have discontinued. We could have put something in for the voters to say, hey, this isn't working out. Which is, in my opinion, those are the types of things you need to do in local government. If you sit back and you never try anything new, if you keep taking the same left-hand turn, you will continue ending up in the same spot. You have to try things and be able to recognize when you're working and when you're not.
Oh, wait,
And
did we?
change course. So again, the intention of this was to provide the course to pursue recycling if the voters want to.
No, we
They
did
are
not.
never locked in, they can always change course.
What's the status of the whole town audit thing with the woman, like that company that was doing every year trying to catch
We
up?
just completed the 2024 audit last week. We're waiting, so we're up to date.
We won't get the
2022
results back
is-
until after
Right.
March.
Which is why we can't do any of this.
Correct. 2022 is done, we have that report. 2023, I anticipate the report anytime now. 2024 was just completed the on-site review, so we should get that by mid next year.
Didn't we do some other side fund balances last year? on the
No.
warrant articles?
I don't believe so.
But we did the year prior, and we should.
You shouldn't have.
Because we did not have the audit completed at that time either.
The only thing
Yeah.
mentioned, and we currently have a revolving fund involving the transfer station. That is for general upkeep and improvement of the transfer station. If this should be inputted, both of those revolving funds will be getting their revenue from the same single source. So the town will have to decide how much of each dollar goes in what revolving fund. Because you'll have two that are both getting their revenue from the same recycling fund. Just to point that out.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor and we have a second to table that warrant article to the public hearing when we resume at that time. So all those in favor?
You're talking about 20 now, right?
The
Yes.
ones that, yeah,
20.
number 20.
Yep.
We're gonna be revisiting 18, 19, and 20 at the public hearing.
You wanna vote?
Yeah. I need a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. So, before you all take off, any other items that you would like to bring before the budget committee? All right, I'm gonna be passing, these are the minutes from June 5th, September 11th, and November 8th. I'm gonna be passing them around, they do require signatures, I put the signature pages. I had sent them to you on 2 different occasions to review them. So, if you wanna pass that down to Tim, and then we'll go this way.
You'll sign off on some of those last week?
No, because you wanted to review them, so I sent them
Dispense will
email
work.
electronically so that you could review them.
So Malane, don't we need to make a motion to approve the minutes before we sign them?
Well, we had, you want a motion to approve the June 5th, September 11th, and November 8th. I'm assuming you've all read them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I need a motion to approve all 3.
So moved.
Diane, second?
Second.
Second, Deb. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Elaine, did you want
Today's
to
what, the,
mention the rescheduling of the public hearing?
We're not going to reschedule it,
Oh,
because they
we're gonna
voted.
Today's what?
We're gonna stick with the 10th.
Right,
13, 14?
Okay.
right.
14?
Is it in the school?
13.
What's that?
It's here at 9 o'clock?
The public hearing, I believe it's gonna be here, probably in the auditorium or here.
No, that's the deliberative.
It's deliberative.
Pretty sure I reserved this room.
This room,
Okay,
okay.
good.
Okay, so. Hang on, they're voting on the
This year is January 31st. It's a week earlier. And that will be in the auditorium. Here.
You're not signing with a pencil, are you?
Yeah, I didn't have a pen.
Sorry. Oh, you know what? I would like to, while we're here, we don't have to do another meeting, I would like to vote if we put in a closed meeting on the school, on the school budget. Okay. So I would like to include their budgets. Hold on. So 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I need a motion, this is for the school budget. The proposed budget is $15,024,829. And that is $1,000 lower, thereabouts, than last year's default budget. So I'd like to make, entertain a motion to do this.
So moved.
Diane, second.
John Childs.
John Childs. Any questions on the school budget? Now, keep in mind, at the public hearing, we will have the warrant articles for the teacher contracts that are not part of this, because they're not ready. So all in favor of the school budget being $15,024,829, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Perfect, thank you.
It was Diane who did the motion.
Yeah.
And John did second.
And John seconded.
Charles. Oh, she's gonna close hers first.
Where are those minutes?
What's that?
They're coming.
They're working away.
Yeah, they're coming this way.
I'll come get them on my way back.
So can the new SAU lady, the one that replaced Jess, when did she start?
Beginning of the year.
Yeah, essentially the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
Yeah, because then, you know, by the time they went to the interview process, I think that's the superintendent. Did you make a motion, somebody make a motion to adjourn?
no, I'm waiting for the minutes, I don't want you all to leave until I get those minutes signed. I'm on to you.
I'll leave before, I don't care.
Well, even though you guys are still in session, I think we can still call our own, so we can get the.
Okay, I'll make a motion if you don't leave to adjourn the budget committee meeting.
As long as nobody leaves.
Who's the motion?
Okay.
Second, Keith, and, okay, all in favor of adjourning? It's
Aye.
12:20, aye. Opposed?
I oppose.
I wanna stay all day.
Do not leave, sit down, Keith.
Okay.
Selectmen have one more thing to vote on, so. Once again, Saturday, December 13th, 2025, I move that the Allenstown, New Hampshire Board of Selectmen open an impromptu meeting at 12:21 p.m.
Second.
Right, all in favor?
Kathleen, aye?
Diane, aye?
Scott, I just put together.
You know, when you walk in all out of order. What order are we in, Fran?
Okay, so we vote.
One motion, Article 18, 19, and 20 to be tabled.
Yeah.
Do we, the budget committee has tabled them, do you guys want to table them? To me, we
Well,
can take, they're going on the
This is
ballot.
a possibility, we gotta,
Oh,
really
because of
can't
the
vote on
typo?
this one. Yeah,
Okay.
we gotta make sure that's right.
Remind me.
This figure will be changed.
Numbers.
We could vote on that one with the typo, just like we have on meeting minutes in the past, we could, you know, vote to recommend with the typo of the officer and the dishonorable being amended. It's just, it doesn't, I'm just saying, we can bring it back up later if you want.
I think so, because it's the same as us voting in the affirmative if the budget committee still, you know, hasn't done their vote.
Well, they're voting separate.
Yeah, I know.
And they
I know.
have so much to do.
I know.
So they have, our opinion doesn't have to reflect
Very
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah, right, you know?
I see what you're saying, and.
But, I mean,
We can
Do
wait.
it all, because we're gonna have this
I'm
one
getting
open
yelled
anyway,
at.
so let's just do it all.
We
at the
can
same
wait
time.
and visit it.
Read
And
the
we
fine
might
print.
have a full board. Who knows?
Need to put in for budget committee salary. Didn't even know it.
I second that.
No, we have.
Make a motion to table March 31st, 2020, until,
You're waiting for
the
the.
deliberative session. To the public hearing, correct.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh, no.